Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto was the reincarnation of the one above all Naruto x Scarlet which x Captain Marvel. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, When Worlds Fracture. The weight of the Hokage's hat felt unusually heavy today. Naruto Uzumaki stood at the window of his office, looking out over Konoha with a frown creasing his face. The village looked peaceful enough, children playing in the streets, merchants hawking their wares, shinobi leaping across rooftops on their daily missions. But something felt off. "You okay, Lord Seventh?" Shikamaru's voice broke through his thoughts. "Yeah, just." Naruto trailed off as a strange sensation rippled through his body. His chakra surged without warning, blue energy crackling visibly around his fingertips. Whoa! Papers on his desk scattered in a sudden gust of wind that seemed to emanate from Naruto himself. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow, instinctively stepping back. "That's the third time this week," Naruto said, staring at his hands as the energy subsided. "Something weird's going on with my chakra. Maybe you should have Sakura check you out," Shikamaru suggested, gathering the fallen documents. "Could be stress." Naruto laughed. "When has stress ever made my chakra do, whatever this is?" Before Shikamaru could answer, Naruto's body seized up. A blinding flash of light filled his vision, and suddenly he wasn't seeing his office anymore. Stars. Galaxies. Entire universes stretching infinitely in all directions. Voices echoed in his mind, countless voices speaking languages he'd never heard yet somehow understood perfectly. "Naruto." Shikamaru's voice sounded distant, underwater. The vision faded as quickly as it came. Naruto found himself on his knees, gasping for breath, with Shikamaru gripping his shoulders. "I'm fine," Naruto managed, though he was anything but. These episodes were getting worse. More frequent. More intense. "Just need some air." 10 minutes later, he was roof-hopping across the village, trying to clear his head. He'd told Shikamaru to reschedule his afternoon meetings, something he rarely did. Being Hokage meant responsibility, and Naruto had never been one to shirk that. But these, whatever they were, made it impossible to focus. He landed in Training Ground 3, the familiar clearing bringing back memories of his genin days. The 3 posts where Kakashi had tied him up. The memorial stone. Simple times. "Kurama," he said aloud. "Any ideas what's happening to me?" The Nine Tails had been unusually quiet during these episodes, which concerned Naruto more than the episodes themselves. "I've been trying to figure it out," the fox's deep voice rumbled inside his mind. "Your chakra isn't just acting strange, it's changing. Becoming something else. Something I've never felt before." "That's reassuring," Naruto muttered sarcastically. "Whatever it is, it's not threatening your life. If anything, it feels like you're getting stronger. But it's not the kind of strength I understand." Naruto sat cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes to center himself. The calm lasted approximately 7 seconds before another surge hit him, stronger than any previous one. His entire body glowed with energy that wasn't quite chakra. Golden light radiated from his skin as images flooded his mind, a woman with cascading red hair and glowing hands reshaping reality itself, another woman soaring through space, her fists trailing cosmic fire, a looming darkness between worlds, watching, waiting, hungry. "What the hell?" Naruto gasped, eyes flying open. The sky above Konoha had changed. Dark clouds swirled unnaturally, shot through with veins of golden light. A pressure descended on the village like the air before a massive storm. "Naruto, something's coming," Kurama warned, an edge of uncertainty in his usually confident voice. "Something big." Naruto was on his feet instantly, reaching for his communication device. "Shikamaru. Are you seeing this?" Hard to miss, came the tense reply. Reports coming in from all over the village. ANBU are mobilizing. I'll check it out, Naruto said, already moving. Have Sasuke been contacted? He's still 3 days out on his mission. We're on our own for this one. Perfect. Naruto channeled chakra to his feet, propelling himself skyward with a massive leap. As he ascended, the strange storm seemed to react to his presence. The golden veins of light pulsed brighter, and the swirling clouds began to form a distinct pattern, a spiral. That can't be good, Naruto muttered as he reached the apex of his jump. The center of the spiral suddenly tore open like fabric ripping, revealing a void filled with stars and colors Naruto had never seen before. The tear widened, edges crackling with energy that felt both foreign and oddly familiar. Kit, whatever you do, don't touch that thing. Kurama roared. Too late. As Naruto began to descend, the tears seemed to reach for him, golden tendrils of energy shooting out to wrap around his limbs. He tried to form a Rasengan, but his chakra sputtered and transformed into the same golden energy that now enveloped him. Shit, he yelled as the portal pulled him in with inexorable force. The last thing he saw was Konoha spreading out below him, his village growing smaller as the void swallowed him whole. And then, nothing. Darkness. Silence. Not even Kurama's voice reached him here. Until suddenly, there was everything. Light. Sound. Pain. Naruto crashed onto solid ground with enough force to create a small crater. Dust and debris billowed around him as he struggled to his feet, coughing. What the? He began, then froze. This wasn't Konoha. Tall buildings of glass and steel surrounded him, structures unlike anything in the shinobi world. Strange vehicles moved along paved streets. And the people, they dressed oddly, stared at him with wide eyes, many pointing small rectangular devices at him. Kurama, he whispered. I'm here, the fox answered, sounding as confused as Naruto felt. But I have no idea where here is. A woman screamed, drawing Naruto's attention to the sky. Another tear was forming, identical to the one that had swallowed him, but larger. Much larger. Everybody back. Naruto shouted instinctively, though he doubted these strangers would listen to him. To his surprise, they did, scattering in all directions, shouting in panic. The tear widened, and something emerged. Not a person, but things. Shadowy figures with no definite shape, dozens of them, pouring into this strange world like ink into water. Those aren't normal enemies, Kurama growled. They don't feel alive. Not really. Naruto didn't have time to ponder what that meant. One of the shadow creatures dove toward a young woman frozen in fear. His body moved on instinct, a flash of orange as he intercepted the creature with a Rasengan. Get out of here, he shouted to the woman as his jutsu connected with the shadow. The Rasengan tore through the creature, but instead of dissipating, the shadow fragments reformed a few feet away. Naruto cursed. This was going to be more complicated than he thought. More shadows descended on the fleeing civilians. Naruto created a dozen shadow clones, sending them to intercept the creatures. As they engaged, he noticed something strange. His clones' attacks were actually working when infused with the new golden energy that had been plaguing him. Guys, he called to his clones. Channel that weird new chakra. Following his own advice, Naruto focused on the golden power he'd been trying to suppress. It responded eagerly, flowing through him like a tidal wave breaking through a dam. His entire body glowed as he formed a Rasengan unlike any he'd created before, swirling with blues, golds, and cosmic energies that defied description. Take this, he shouted, driving the jutsu into the nearest cluster of shadows. The resulting explosion sent a shockwave through the street, shattering windows and setting off vehicle alarms. When the dust cleared, the shadows were gone, not reformed, but truly destroyed. Okay, Naruto panted. That worked. His victory was short-lived. A much larger mass began to emerge from the portal, something darker, denser, with glowing eyes that fixed on Naruto with unmistakable malevolence. "That's not good," Kurama stated unnecessarily. "Yeah, no kidding," Naruto muttered, preparing for another attack. Before he could move, a blast of red energy struck the emerging entity from the side. Naruto whipped around to see a woman floating in mid-air, her hands glowing with scarlet power, her long auburn hair flowing around her face. She wore a red leather coat over dark clothes, nothing like shinobi gear, but clearly battle-ready. "Get back," she called to him, her voice carrying a slight accent Naruto couldn't place. "You don't know what you're dealing with." "Funny, I was about to tell you the same thing," Naruto replied, grinning despite the situation. The woman's eyes widened slightly at his response, but before either could say more, the entity recovered from her attack. It fully emerged now, a towering humanoid shape composed of writhing darkness, easily 20 feet tall. "Wanda!" A new voice called from above. "We've got more breaches opening across the city." Naruto looked up to see another woman descending from the sky, this one glowing with golden light, her short blonde hair and determined expression visible even from a distance. She wore some kind of blue and red uniform with a star emblazoned on the chest. "I see them, Carol," the first woman, Wanda, responded. "But we need to contain this one first." The dark entity roared, the sound vibrating through Naruto's bones. It lashed out with tendrils of darkness that moved faster than the eye could track. Wanda created a shield of red energy, while the newcomer, Carol, fired blasts of photonic energy from her fists. Naruto wasn't about to stand on the sidelines. He formed the cross seal again, creating not just a dozen clones this time, but 50, each glowing with the same golden energy. "What the?" Carol began, clearly shocked by his multiplication. "Ask questions later." Naruto called as his clones launched into action, surrounding the entity from all sides. "Right now, let's kick this thing's ass." The three of them fell into a surprisingly effective rhythm. Wanda contained and redirected the entity's attacks with her reality-warping hexes. Carol delivered devastating energy blasts from above. And Naruto's clone army harassed it from every angle, each clone delivering enhanced Rasengan strikes where the creature seemed weakest. Despite their efforts, the entity grew stronger, absorbing the shadows that continued to pour through the portal. "We need to close that breach," Carol shouted, narrowly avoiding a tendril of darkness. "I'm trying," Wanda called back, her hands weaving complex patterns as red energy stretched toward the tear in reality. "Something's fighting me." Naruto dispatched 3 more shadow creatures with a giant Rasengan, then turned his attention to the portal. It pulsed with familiar energy, the same energy now flowing through him. "Let me try something," he shouted to his new allies. Without waiting for a response, Naruto leapt high, his enhanced strength carrying him level with the tear. Calling on his sage mode to supplement his new powers, he thrust his hands toward the breach. Golden chains erupted from his palms, a technique he'd only seen in stories about his mother, Kushina. The chains shot into the portal, wrapping around its edges. "What is he doing?" he heard Carol ask. "I don't know," Wanda replied, "but his energy signature, it's like nothing I've ever seen." Naruto pulled with all his might, sweat beading on his forehead as he fought against the force keeping the portal open. The golden chains tightened, slowly drawing the edges of the tear together. "Need a little help," he managed through gritted teeth. Understanding immediately, Wanda directed her scarlet energy alongside his chains, weaving her power through his. The combination created an unexpected resonance that amplified both their abilities. "It's working!" Carol shouted, blasting away shadows that tried to interfere. "Keep going." With a final tremendous effort, Naruto and Wanda forced the tear closed. The portal collapsed with a thunderous boom, sending a shockwave across the city. The entity, cut off from its source, let out an unearthly shriek. Without the influx of shadow reinforcements, it began to destabilize. "Now!" Carol shouted. Hit it with everything. Naruto didn't need to be told twice. Drawing on his last reserves of energy, he formed a Raisin Shuriken infused with the golden power. Wanda's hands glowed brighter than ever, complex patterns of scarlet energy forming around her fingers. Carol's entire body blazed with photonic power as she rocketed downward. Their three attacks connected simultaneously. The entity's scream cut off abruptly as it imploded, collapsing in on itself before dissipating into nothingness. Silence fell over the devastated street. Naruto's remaining clones popped out of existence as he dropped to one knee, gasping for breath. Using the golden energy had taken more out of him than he'd expected. So, Carol said, landing beside him with her arms crossed. Want to tell us who the hell you are and how you did all of that? That depends, Naruto replied, looking up with a tired grin. Anyone going to tell me what world I just landed in? Because this definitely isn't the land of fire. Wanda approached cautiously, her powers still visible around her hands. You came through the breach? From another world? Looks like it, Naruto replied, slowly standing. 1 minute I'm in Konoha, the next I'm here fighting shadow monsters with you too. Konoha? Carol repeated. Never heard of it. It's his home, Wanda said quietly, her eyes unfocused as if seeing something beyond the physical. A hidden village in a world of shinobi and chakra. I can see glimpses of it in his mind. Naruto took a step back. You can read my mind? That's kinda invasive, you know. Wanda had the decency to look apologetic. I'm sorry. It's not intentional, your thoughts are broadcasting on a frequency I've never encountered before. They're loud. Great, Naruto muttered. So where am I, exactly? New York City, Carol answered. Earth. But clearly not your Earth. The multiverse is fracturing, Wanda added, her expression grim. These breaches have been appearing for weeks, but this is the first time someone's come through. Lucky me, Naruto said. He looked around at the destruction, at the civilians cautiously emerging from hiding, at emergency vehicles approaching with wailing sirens. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. 7th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. Wanda Maximoff, the red-clad woman replied. The Scarlet Witch. Carol Danvers, the blonde added. Captain Marvel. And I hate to cut introductions short, but we've got more breaches to deal with. As if on cue, several more tiers appeared in the sky over the city, smaller than the first but no less concerning. We should move this conversation somewhere more secure, Wanda suggested. The Avengers compound, no time, Carol interrupted. Those breaches are active now, and more of those shadow creatures are coming through. Naruto rolled his shoulders, ignoring the fatigue. Then I guess we're not done fighting. Lead the way, Captain. Carol raised an eyebrow, then nodded. Can you fly? Not exactly, Naruto admitted. But I can keep up. To demonstrate, he channeled chakra to his feet and leapt to the top of a nearby building in a single bound. The golden energy seemed to enhance his already considerable physical abilities. Impressive, Wanda commented, rising into the air on waves of scarlet energy. You haven't seen anything yet, Naruto called back with a grin. Despite the dire situation, a familiar excitement bubbled up inside him. This was completely insane, but when had his life ever been normal? As they raced toward the nearest breach, Carol flying ahead while Wanda and Naruto followed, the Hokage couldn't help but wonder how he was going to get home, and why he'd been brought here in the first place. I don't think this is random, kid, Kurama spoke up for the first time since the battle. That golden power, it's connected to this world somehow. And to those breaches. Great, Naruto muttered. So I'm causing this? Not causing. Responding. Something wants you here. Before Naruto could ask what Kurama meant, they arrived at the next breach site. This one had opened over a large park, and shadow creatures were already terrorizing civilians. Focus now, questions later, Carol called, diving into action. Naruto nodded, creating another batch of shadow clones. As he joined the battle alongside his new allies, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger than any of them realized. 3 hours and 4 breach sites later, Naruto slumped against the wall of what Carol had called a conference room in the Avengers compound. The adrenaline had long worn off, leaving him exhausted in a way he hadn't experienced since the Fourth Great Ninja War. Here, Wanda offered him a steaming cup. "It's tea." "Thanks," Naruto accepted gratefully, taking a sip. It wasn't as good as a Chiraku ramen, but it helped. The room held several other individuals besides Wanda and Carol. A man in a red and blue suit that clung to his body like a second skin. Another with a metal arm and a serious expression. A dark-skinned man with mechanical wings folded against his back. And a woman with short red hair who seemed to be assessing his every movement. "So let me get this straight," said the man in the red and blue suit, who had introduced himself as Spider-Man. "You're the leader of a village of ninjas from another dimension, and you got sucked through a portal because of some weird golden energy that you just started developing recently." "Pretty much," Naruto confirmed. "Though I prefer shinobi to ninja. And I'm not just the leader, I'm the Hokage." "What exactly does that mean?" asked the woman, Natasha, if Naruto remembered correctly. "It means he's their strongest warrior and political leader," Wanda answered before Naruto could. When everyone looked at her, she shrugged. "Like I said, his thoughts are loud." "And what about the shadow clone technique?" asked the winged man, Sam. "You created solid duplicates of yourself." "Dozens of them." "Basic jutsu," Naruto replied with a tired smile. "One of my specialties." "Basic?" The man with the metal arm, Bucky, raised an eyebrow. "There's nothing basic about violating conservation of mass." Naruto blinked. "I don't know what that means, but where I come from, academy students learn to make at least 3 clones." "Fascinating," said a new voice as the door opened. A man with graying hair at his temples and an immaculately trimmed beard entered, his eyes bright with curiosity. A parallel world with fundamentally different physical laws, or at least different applications of them. "Tony Stark," Carol introduced him. "The Iron Man." "Retired," Tony added. "Mostly. Until portals start opening over my city and a dimension-hopping ninja shows up with energy readings that break all my instruments." Naruto set down his tea. "Look, I appreciate the hospitality, but I need to find a way back home. My village needs me." "That might be complicated," Wanda said gently. "The breaches aren't stable, and they don't seem to connect to the same places consistently." "We've been monitoring them for weeks," Tony explained, pulling up holographic displays that made Naruto's eyes widen. "They appear randomly, stay open for varying durations, and don't leave any traceable energy signature once closed." "Except today was different," Carol added. "Today, they reacted to you." All eyes turned to Naruto, who shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, about that. I've been having these weird episodes lately. Power surges, visions, this golden energy that's not chakra but works with it somehow." "Your energy signature matches the frequency of the breaches exactly," Tony said, displaying 2 waveforms that perfectly overlapped. "Which means you're either causing them, or I'm connected to whatever is," Naruto finished. "Kurama thinks something brought me here on purpose." "Kurama?" Sam repeated. "The 9-tailed fox sealed inside me," Naruto said casually, then noticed their expressions. "Oh right, that's probably not normal here either." "You have a fox, sealed inside you," Natasha stated flatly. "A giant, ancient chakra beast, yeah." Naruto rubbed the back of his neck. "It's a long story." "Tell them I said hello," Kurama rumbled sarcastically. "He says hi," Naruto relayed, earning several raised eyebrows. "Can we speak with this entity?" Wanda asked, leaning forward with interest. Naruto was about to explain that it didn't work that way when another surge of golden energy coursed through him. He gasped, doubling over as visions flooded his mind. A vast cosmic web of realities. Tears appearing across multiple dimensions. A darkness moving between them, consuming as it went. And at the center of it all, a blinding light that felt achingly familiar. Naruto. Wanda's voice seemed distant as she knelt beside him. Her hand on his arm anchored him somewhat, her own powers responding to his surge. Something's coming, he managed, his eyes glowing golden. Something big. Those shadows, the entity we fought, they're just scouts. Fragments. Fragments of what? Carol demanded. Before Naruto could answer, alarms blared throughout the compound. Tony's holographic displays flickered with urgent warnings. We've got another breach. Spider-Man called, checking a device on his wrist. The biggest one yet, and it's opening right over here, Naruto finished, rising to his feet as the golden energy stabilized within him. It's coming here. The ceiling above them tore open, reality itself splitting apart as a massive breach formed directly overhead. Dark tendrils emerged, reaching downward, but instead of attacking, they seemed to be searching. Everybody move. Carol shouted, her fists already glowing. The team scattered as the tendrils descended, but to everyone's surprise, they ignored the Avengers completely. Every single one reached for Naruto. Acting on instinct, Naruto channeled the golden energy into his hands and clapped them together. A shockwave of pure power erupted outward, temporarily forcing the tendrils back. It wants you specifically, Wanda realized, creating a shield of scarlet energy above them. But why? I don't know. Naruto admitted, but I'm not just gonna wait around to find out. He formed a familiar hand sign, and the room filled with smoke as hundreds of shadow clones appeared. The real Naruto used the distraction to leap toward the breach itself, his right hand extended as a Rasengan formed, not just any Rasengan, but one infused with nature energy, wind release, and the mysterious golden power. What is he doing? He heard Bucky shout. Something crazy and probably heroic, Carol replied, launching herself upward to provide backup. Naruto's attack connected with the center of the breach. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze, the tendrils, the Avengers, even time itself. Then reality shuddered, and the breach began to collapse in on itself, drawing in everything nearby with incredible force. Including Naruto. No! Wanda cried, reaching out with her powers to try and pull him back. Their energies connected briefly, scarlet and gold intertwining. In that moment, Naruto saw flashes of her life, her pain, her losses, her power born of suffering. And somehow, he knew she saw the same from him. Then the connection broke as the breach snapped shut, taking Naruto with it. Darkness enveloped him once more. But this time, he wasn't alone. You cannot hide from what you are forever, a voice unlike any Naruto had ever heard spoke directly into his mind. Not Kurama, something else. Something older. The multiverse fractures because you refuse your nature. What are you talking about? Naruto shouted into the void. Who are you? I am the void between. The nothing that hungers. And you are so much more than you know. Light erupted around Naruto, blinding him. When his vision cleared, he found himself standing in a vast expanse of stars, facing a colossal entity composed of shifting darkness. Its form constantly changed, but its countless eyes remained fixed on him. The one above all chose to forget, the entity continued. To become mortal. To experience limitation. But the multiverse cannot survive without its creator for long. Already it frays at the seams. You've got the wrong guy, Naruto protested. I'm just a shinobi from Konoha. You are that. And you are everything else. The entity's laughter echoed across the cosmos. Why do you think your power has grown beyond chakra? Why do you think the barriers between worlds respond to your presence? You are remembering, Naruto Uzumaki. And I cannot allow that. The entity surged forward, its darkness engulfing Naruto before he could react. Pain unlike anything he'd ever experienced tore through him as memories that couldn't possibly be his flashed through his mind. Creating galaxies with a thought. Watching civilizations rise and fall across countless worlds. Weaving the very fabric of the multiverse into existence. If you remember, the entity hissed, I will cease to exist. And I have grown fond of existence. Through the overwhelming pain, Naruto felt Kurama's chakra flare protectively around him. Get away from my kid, the fox roared, pushing back against the entity's invasion. The darkness retreated slightly, enough for Naruto to catch his breath. What are you? He gasped. I am what exists in the spaces you forgot to fill, the entity replied. The emptiness between your creations. For eons, I have fed on forgotten worlds, on collapsed timelines. But now you stir in your mortal shell, and I hunger for more than scraps. With renewed force, the entity's darkness crashed against Kurama's chakra shield. Cracks appeared as Naruto felt his strength fading. Your current power is nothing compared to what you once wielded, the entity taunted. Remember, and you might stand a chance. Remain ignorant, and I will consume you, and then every reality you ever created. I don't know how to remember something I never was. Naruto shouted, struggling to reinforce Kurama's protection. Then the multiverse is doomed, the entity replied simply. Beginning with your precious people. Images flashed before Naruto's eyes, Konoha in flames. Hinata, Boruto, Himawari. All consumed by darkness. Then Wanda and Carol, fighting desperately against an unstoppable tide of shadows. Every world, every person he'd ever known or just met, falling one by one. Something snapped inside Naruto. Not broken, awakened. The golden energy that had been building within him for weeks suddenly erupted outward with cataclysmic force. Stars bloomed wherever the energy touched the darkness, pushing it back. Yes, the entity hissed, though whether in triumph or fear, Naruto couldn't tell. Remember. I don't know what I am, Naruto growled, his voice echoing with power that transcended universes, but I know who I am. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I never go back on my word. That's my ninja way. And I promise to protect everyone precious to me. The golden light intensified, taking shape around him, not as the Nine-Tails chakra cloak he was familiar with, but as something far more vast. For the briefest moment, Naruto perceived himself as he truly was, infinite, eternal, encompassing all realities. The entity shrieked as the light drove it back further. This isn't over, it snarled. You're still more mortal than God. And I am patient. Before Naruto could respond, reality tore open once more. He felt himself falling, the cosmic awareness receding as his consciousness narrowed back to human perception. He crashed into solid ground for the second time that day, creating another crater in what he vaguely recognized as the park where they'd fought earlier. His body ached everywhere, and the golden energy had receded to a dim glow beneath his skin. Naruto. A familiar voice called out. Moments later, Wanda landed beside him, her powers dissipating as she knelt to check on him. Are you alright? You've been gone for hours. Define alright, Naruto groaned, sitting up slowly. Pretty sure I just got threatened by some kind of cosmic horror that wants to eat the multiverse. So, you know, Tuesday. Despite his attempt at humor, Wanda's expression remained concerned. Your energy signature changed again. It's bigger somehow. More complex. Yeah, about that, Naruto began, but was cut off as Carol landed nearby, accompanied by a man in a red cloak that moved of its own accord. The breaches have stopped, Carol reported. All of them, simultaneously, the moment you reappeared. Which is statistically impossible without causal connection, added the cloaked man, studying Naruto with intense eyes. I'm Dr. Stephen Strange, master of the mystic arts. And you, Naruto Uzumaki, are a walking impossibility. I get that a lot, Naruto replied tiredly. What happened when you disappeared? Wanda asked, helping him to his feet. Naruto hesitated. How could he explain what he'd experienced? What the entity had claimed about him? It sounded insane even to his own ears. I met whatever's causing the breaches, he said finally. It called itself, the void between. And it said things about me. Things I'm still trying to process. What kind of things? Strange pressed. Naruto looked at the three of them, these powerful beings from a world not his own, who'd fought alongside him without hesitation. Something told him he could trust them. It said I'm the reincarnation of something called, the One Above All. That I created the multiverse. The words felt ridiculous leaving his mouth. That these powers appearing now are me starting to remember what I really am. He expected disbelief, perhaps even laughter. Instead, Strange paled visibly. The One Above All, he whispered. The supreme being of the multiverse. The creator of all realities. That's impossible, Carol stated flatly. Is it? Wanda countered. We've seen gods before. Entities beyond human comprehension. There's a difference between gods and the god, Strange argued. If what this entity claimed is true. It doesn't matter, Naruto interrupted firmly. Reincarnation of a cosmic whatever or not, that thing is planning something big. It's been causing these breaches, sending those shadow creatures through as scouts. And it's afraid of me remembering who or what I supposedly am. Because if you're truly the One Above All, you could stop it, Strange concluded. Or because I caused it, Naruto added quietly. It said it exists in the spaces I forgot to fill. The emptiness between creations. Carol crossed her arms. So we're dealing with a multiversal parasite that scared its host is waking up. Great. We need to get back to the compound, Wanda said. The others should hear this. Naruto nodded, then swayed slightly. The confrontation with the entity had drained him more than he'd realized. Can you make it? Carol asked, noticing his condition. Yeah, Naruto assured her, straightening. Just need to. He stopped as another vision hit him, not a memory this time, but a warning. He saw New York, this New York, within the hour. A massive breach opening directly over the city center. The entity emerging fully into this reality, no longer confined to sending fragments through small tears. We don't have time, he gasped as the vision faded. It's coming. Here. Now. As if in confirmation, the sky darkened abruptly. Not with clouds, but with the absence of light itself, as if someone had begun to erase the atmosphere. Strange. Carol looked to the sorcerer. Working on it, he replied, his hands already weaving complex patterns as golden mandalas formed around his wrists. I'm detecting a massive interdimensional incursion building directly above Manhattan. Can you stop it? Wanda asked. Strange's expression was grim. Not alone. This is beyond anything I've encountered. Then it's a good thing you're not alone, Naruto said, stepping forward. The fatigue seemed to melt away as determination took its place. He might not understand what was happening to him, but he knew one thing for certain, he wouldn't let anyone else suffer while he had the power to help. What's the plan? Carol asked, her body already beginning to glow with cosmic energy. Naruto looked up at the darkening sky, then back at his new allies. We hit it with everything we've got. Together. It wasn't the most sophisticated strategy, but sometimes the direct approach was best. As the four of them prepared to face whatever was coming, Naruto couldn't help but wonder if this was why he'd been brought here, not just because of what he might have been in some past existence, but because of who he was right now. Naruto Uzumaki. 7th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. And apparently, the multiverse's best hope against the darkness between worlds. Ready, Kurama? He asked his lifelong companion. Always, Kit, the fox replied. Though I think we're going to need more than my chakra for this one. Naruto nodded, then focused on the golden energy within him. This time, instead of fighting it, he embraced it, letting it flow through him, enhance him, awaken something that felt ancient yet familiar. As the sky split open and darkness poured forth, Naruto Uzumaki stepped forward to meet it, golden light blazing around him like a second sun. The battle for the multiverse had begun. Chapter 2, Gods Among Us. The sky above New York ripped apart like tissue paper, darkness pouring through the massive breach. Not the normal darkness of night, this was something alive, hungry, and impossibly ancient. Citizens scattered through the streets below, screaming as shadow tendrils reached down between skyscrapers. "Okay, hitting it with everything we've got sounds great," Carol shouted over the growing chaos, her fists glowing with cosmic energy. "But what exactly is it?" "The void between," Naruto called back, golden energy swirling around him. "That's what it called itself. It feeds on forgotten realities and collapsed timelines." Doctor Strange's cloak billowed dramatically as he conjured defensive shields over fleeing civilians. "If it's truly what you describe, then it exists outside the natural order. No wonder the mystic defenses didn't detect it until now." Wanda's scarlet energy crackled between her fingers as she rose into the air beside Carol. "Whatever it is, it's fully materializing. We need to push it back before it completely enters our dimension." Naruto nodded, forming his signature hand sign. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Hundreds of Narutos appeared throughout the city streets, each glowing with the same golden energy. The clones immediately began evacuating civilians and creating defensive perimeters. "That's still freaking cool," Carol muttered before rocketing upward toward the breach. She blasted through the first wave of shadow creatures with photonic energy, her body leaving a trail of light through the darkness. The creatures shrieked, not in pain, but in hunger, immediately reforming and pursuing her. "They're adapting to our attacks," she called down. "Standard energy blasts aren't working anymore." Strange's hands moved in complex patterns as golden mandalas formed around his wrists. "Let me try something from the Book of Vishanti." Brilliant rays of mystical energy shot upward from his hands, slicing through the darkness. For a moment, it seemed effective. The shadows recoiled, the breach narrowed slightly. Then the darkness surged back with even greater force, tendrils specifically targeting Strange. "Look out!" Wanda shouted, throwing up a hexed barrier as shadowy spears descended toward the Sorcerer Supreme. Naruto leaped between buildings, analyzing the situation. This wasn't like fighting Pain or Madara or even Kaguya. The entity didn't have a physical form to attack, it was everywhere and nowhere, constantly shifting. "Kit," Kurama growled inside his mind. "Remember what it told you. This thing exists because of you, or rather, because of what you supposedly created. Maybe that means you can uncreate it." "Worth a shot," Naruto muttered. He focused on the golden energy that had been growing within him, trying to access whatever memories might be buried beneath his consciousness. Nothing happened. "Damn it," he cursed as more shadows descended. A clone nearby dispelled after being struck, transferring its experience back to Naruto. "The sensation when these shadows touched you, it wasn't pain exactly. It was emptiness. Like they were draining something essential from your very being." "Naruto!" Wanda called, appearing beside him in a flash of scarlet. "I can sense your energy fluctuating. What are you trying to do?" "Trying to access whatever cosmic mojo this thing thinks I have," he explained, forming a Rasengan that pulsed with chakra and golden light. "But I don't know how." Wanda's eyes glowed red as she studied him. "Your energy, it's different from anything I've encountered, but there are patterns within it. Structures similar to my chaos magic. Can you help me unlock it?" Naruto asked, deflecting a shadow tendril with his jutsu. "I can try," she replied. "But not here. We need to fall back and regroup." As if hearing her words, Carol dive-bombed back down to their position, a trail of shadows in pursuit. "We're losing ground. Strange mystical barriers are holding for now, but this thing is getting stronger by the minute." A decision solidified in Naruto's mind. "Get everyone to safety. I'll buy us some time. What are you planning? Strange demanded, teleporting to their position through a sparking portal. Naruto grinned, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. Something stupid and probably dangerous. My specialty. Before anyone could object, Naruto leapt straight up toward the center of the breach. His remaining clones followed, creating a spiraling human tower that reached toward the sky. What is he doing? Carol asked, watching as the Narutos climbed higher by jumping off each other's shoulders. Wanda's eyes widened in understanding. He's going to hit it directly. All at once. At the peak of his ascent, the real Naruto created one final clone. Together, they began forming something in his right hand, a massive shuriken-shaped Rasengan that howled with wind chakra and pulsed with golden light. Raisen Shuriken, he shouted, hurling the attack directly into the heart of the breach. The jutsu expanded on contact, growing to an impossible size as it tore through the fabric of the darkness. Light erupted outward in all directions as the attack detonated within the breach itself. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. The shadows stopped their descent. The breach stopped expanding. Even the screams from below fell silent. Then reality shuddered as the void entity screeched, a sound that transcended dimensions and drove some bystanders to their knees. The breach began to contract, pulling back the darkness that had already emerged. This changes nothing, Forgotten One. The entity's voice boomed across the city, inside every mind. You merely delay the inevitable. With a final, thunderous implosion, the breach closed completely. Sunshine returned to New York as if someone had flipped a switch. And Naruto Uzumaki fell from the sky, unconscious. I got him. Carol shouted, racing to intercept his limp form before he could hit the ground. Naruto woke to the sound of hushed voices and the sterile smell of a medical facility. His body ached everywhere, and his chakra reserves felt dangerously low. He's awake, someone said, a woman's voice. Wanda. Naruto cracked open his eyes to find himself lying on a bed surrounded by medical equipment. Wanda sat beside him, her expression a mixture of relief and concern. Carol stood nearby with her arms crossed, while Strange consulted holographic displays with a tall man wearing glasses. How long was I out? Naruto asked, his voice hoarse. 6 hours, Carol replied. Which is impressive considering what you did. By all rights, you should be dead. Wouldn't be the first time, Naruto muttered, slowly pushing himself up to a sitting position. His entire body protested the movement. Did it work? Is the entity gone? The tall man with glasses approached, adjusting his spectacles. Not gone. Retreated. I'm Bruce Banner, by the way. The Hulk, Naruto said, recognizing the name from earlier conversations. Though you look a lot smaller than I expected. A hint of amusement crossed Banner's face. I contain multitudes. But more importantly, I've been analyzing your biometric data, and it's, well, fascinating, doesn't begin to cover it. Your cellular structure is constantly changing, Strange added. Evolving in real time, particularly after each energy surge. Naruto frowned. Is that bad? Not necessarily, Banner replied. But it does support the theory that you're transforming into something else. The room fell silent as the implications of that statement sank in. Naruto looked down at his hands, which appeared perfectly normal despite the cosmic power he'd channeled through them. So what now? He asked finally. Wanda leaned forward. We need answers. About what you are, what the void entity is, and how to stop it permanently. Dr. Strange believes he knows someone who might help. Strange nodded. There are beings in this universe with knowledge that spans cosmic scales. If anyone would know about the one above all, it would be them. Road trip through the cosmos. Cool, Naruto said with forced cheerfulness. Inside, his thoughts raced. If what the entity claimed was true, if he really was the reincarnation of some supreme being, what did that mean for him? For his life in Konoha. For his family and friends. Don't go down that rabbit hole yet, Kit, Kurama advised. One problem at a time. Kurama's right, Naruto muttered, then realized he'd spoken aloud when everyone looked at him curiously. Sorry, talking to the fox. I find it fascinating that you share your consciousness with another entity, Strange commented. In some ways, it mirrors the Ancient One's connection to the dark dimension. Yeah, except Kurama's not trying to eat reality, Naruto pointed out. Usually. Very funny, the fox grumbled. Carol cleared her throat. If you're feeling up to it, we should move soon. Our scans show dimensional instabilities forming in other locations. Smaller than the breach over New York, but growing. The entities testing defenses, Strange surmised. Looking for weak points. Naruto swung his legs over the side of the bed, ignoring the pain. Then let's not keep it waiting. An hour later, Naruto found himself standing before a swirling portal in the Avengers compound's main hall. He'd been given a change of clothes, jeans and a t-shirt that felt strange after a lifetime of ninja gear, but his tattered Hokage cloak remained draped over his shoulders. The first stop is Kamartage, Strange explained as he prepared to step through the portal. The mystic library there contains texts that might shed light on interdimensional entities like the Void. After that, we head to Wakanda, Carol added. Their scientists have been studying the breaches from the beginning. Princess Shuri thinks they've identified a pattern. Wanda noticed Naruto's hesitation. Something wrong? Just wondering how long this will take, he replied quietly. Every minute I'm here is another minute I'm not in Konoha. My village, my family. Understanding softened her expression. We'll find a way to get you home. I promise. That's my line, Naruto said with a small smile. Making promises I'm not sure I can keep. Then we'll keep this one together, Wanda replied, her hand briefly touching his arm. The contact sent a small spark between them, literal energy passing from her fingertips to his skin. Strange raised an eyebrow but said nothing as he stepped through the portal. Carol followed, then Wanda, with Naruto bringing up the rear. The sensation of portal travel was nothing like the disorientation of being pulled through a dimensional breach. One step, and suddenly Naruto found himself standing in a courtyard surrounded by ancient stone architecture. Mountains loomed in the distance under a star-filled sky. Welcome to Kamartage, Strange said, gesturing to the buildings around them. The heart of Earth's mystic defenses and repository of magical knowledge. It reminds me of the temples in the Land of Fire, Naruto commented, taking in the peaceful surroundings. The comparison brought a pang of homesickness. Strange led them through ornate wooden doors into a vast library filled with shelves of ancient books. Robed figures moved silently through the stacks, occasionally casting curious glances at the visitors. Master Hammer, Strange called to an elderly man with one hand. We seek information on the one above all and an entity known as the Void between. The old man's eyes widened slightly before he bowed. This way, Doctor. As they followed Master Hammer deeper into the library, Naruto felt a strange resonance with the energies that permeated this place. Not exactly like chakra, but similar, as if working from the same fundamental principles. You feel it too? Wanda asked quietly. Naruto nodded. It's like, the air is alive here. Dimensional energies, she explained. Mystics learn to channel them like I channel chaos magic or you channel chakra. They arrived at a sealed door inscribed with symbols that glowed faintly blue. Master Hammer pressed his palm to the center, and the symbols flared brighter before the door swung open. The Cosmic Codex, Strange explained as they entered a smaller chamber containing a single pedestal. On it rested a book bound in what looked like metal but shimmered with stars. One of the oldest texts in our collection. It predates Earth itself. How is that possible? Naruto asked. It wasn't written on Earth, Carol replied simply. Master Hammer carefully opened the book, its pages emitting soft light. The writing inside shifted constantly, rearranging itself as if alive. The text adapts to the reader, Strange explained, noting Naruto's confusion. Translating into whatever form is most comprehensible. Naruto leaned closer, surprised to find the symbols resolving into characters he could understand. It says, "Before the beginning, there was one. From one came many. From many came infinite." Creation myth, Carol commented. Every culture has one. This is more than myth, Master Hammer said softly. The Cosmic Codex records histories of realities beyond our own. If your one above all exists, it would be mentioned here. Strange turned several pages, scanning rapidly. Here. The Supreme Consciousness, known by countless names across countless realities. The one above all. The Source. The Presence. That which is, does it mention the void? Wanda asked. More pages turned. Strange's expression grew grave. Where light creates, darkness remains between creations. The space between thoughts. The void between feeds on forgotten possibilities, growing stronger as the multiverse expands. Neither good nor evil, but hunger incarnate. Great, Carol sighed. So we're fighting the cosmic equivalent of a garbage disposal. There's more, Strange continued. The one fragmented itself across realities, experiencing life in infinite forms. When the fragments remember their true nature, they return to the source, bringing all they have learned. Reincarnation on a cosmic scale, Wanda murmured. Naruto stared at the book, a cold feeling settling in his stomach. So it's true. I'm just a fragment of this thing. No, Strange said firmly. If anything, this confirms you are whole and complete as Naruto Uzumaki. The fragment is not lesser than the source, it is the source, experiencing itself in a specific form. That doesn't make me feel better, Naruto muttered. Master Hammer turned more pages, then stopped abruptly. This is interesting. When the one divides, the void grows hungry. When the one remembers, the void grows fearful. So I'm a threat to it, Naruto concluded. The only threat, Strange confirmed. Which explains why it's targeting you specifically. But how do I remember something I never knew in the first place? Naruto asked, frustration evident in his voice. Wanda stepped forward. Perhaps it's not about remembering facts, but reconnecting with the energy itself. Like how my chaos magic connects to the power of the Scarlet Witch across realities. We should continue to Wakanda, Carol suggested. They might have a more scientific perspective on all this. As they prepared to leave, Master Hammer placed a weathered hand on Naruto's arm. One thing more, young one. The Codex speaks of signs when a fragment awakens, dimensional instabilities, power fluctuations across realities, and the merging of worlds that should remain separate. Like shinobi appearing in the Marvel Universe, Naruto said. Master Hammer nodded gravely. Be cautious. The void is not the only entity that hunts awakening fragments. Wakanda was unlike anything Naruto had ever seen. Advanced technology seamlessly integrated with natural landscapes. Buildings that seemed to grow from the earth itself. And everywhere, a sense of harmony that reminded him, strangely enough, of the hidden leaf. Princess Shuri, Carol greeted a young woman whose regal bearing belied her youth. Thank you for seeing us on such short notice. When the dimensional barriers between universes start collapsing, notice becomes a luxury, Shuri replied with a quick smile. Her eyes immediately fixed on Naruto. So this is our visitor from another reality. Naruto Uzumaki, he introduced himself with a small bow. 7th Hokage of Konohagakure. Fascinating, Shuri circled him, a small device in her hand scanning his body. Your quantum signature is unlike anything in our databases. You're literally vibrating at a different frequency than our universe. Is that bad? Naruto asked. On the contrary, Shuri replied, examining the readings. It suggests you can exist across multiple dimensional planes simultaneously, a trait shared by only the most powerful cosmic entities. She led them into a laboratory filled with holographic displays showing what appeared to be a map of shimmering lines interconnecting countless glowing points. The Wakandan Cosmic Observatory, Shuri explained. We've been mapping interdimensional breaches since they began appearing 3 months ago. 3 months. Naruto repeated. But I only started having visions a few weeks ago. Time flows differently between dimensions, Strange reminded him. What's weeks for you could be months here. Shuri manipulated the hologram, zooming in on particular clusters of light. The pattern became clear once we tracked enough data points. The breaches aren't random, they form a spiral pattern, expanding outward from a central point. She gestured, and the display shifted to show the spiral more clearly. Naruto's breath caught in his throat. The pattern was instantly recognizable to him. That's the Uzumaki clan symbol, he said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Your family crest is a map of interdimensional breaches? Carol asked skeptically. The Uzumaki were known for their sealing techniques, Naruto explained, still staring at the spiral. Techniques that manipulated space, time, even reality itself. I always thought it was just chakra manipulation, but what if it was something more? Something passed down through generations, Wanda suggested. Cosmic knowledge encoded in your very bloodline. Shuri nodded enthusiastically. Genetic memory is a documented phenomenon. If you truly are a reincarnation of this one above all, perhaps fragments of that knowledge have been carried in your DNA, waiting for the right trigger to activate. The golden energy, Strange concluded. It's not new power, it's old power remembering itself. A distant alarm suddenly blared. Shuri's expression turned serious as she checked another display. We have a situation. Multiple breaches opening simultaneously across Wakanda. The void found us, Carol said grimly, her fists already beginning to glow. No, Strange replied, his eyes unfocused as if seeing beyond physical reality. This is different. The energy signature is chaotic. Unstable. Naruto felt it too, a familiar sensation that didn't belong to the void entity. It's from my world, he realized aloud. Something's coming through from the shinobi world. They rushed outside to find Wakandan warriors already mobilizing, advanced weapons powered up as tears appeared in the sky above the city. Unlike the previous breaches, these glowed with blue chakra energy. Defensive positions, shouted a tall, regal woman, Queen Ramonda, Naruto guessed from the way others deferred to her. Wait! Naruto called, stepping forward. They might not be hostile. As if in response to his voice, the largest breach pulsed brightly. A figure shot through, trailing lightning chakra, a man with heterochromatic eyes and dark hair, wielding a sword. Sasuke! Naruto shouted in recognition and relief. Sasuke Uchiha landed gracefully in the center of the courtyard, his Rinnegan scanning the unfamiliar surroundings before focusing on Naruto. Took me long enough to find you, he said calmly, as if dimension hopping was a minor inconvenience. Before Naruto could respond, more figures emerged from the breaches. Sakura Haruno, her fists glowing with concentrated chakra. Kakashi Hatake, his one visible eye narrowed in assessment. Hinata Hyuga, Byakugan activated as she searched for threats. The cavalry has arrived, Carol commented dryly. My friends, Naruto explained, emotion thick in his voice. My family. But his joy at seeing familiar faces quickly turned to horror as he noticed something wrong with the newcomers. Dark tendrils, nearly invisible against their clothing, wrapped around their limbs and torsos like parasitic vines. Naruto, Sasuke called, his voice strained. Something followed us through the dimensional pathways. Something that attached itself to us. The void, Strange confirmed, mystical shields already forming around his hands. It's using them as anchors to enter our world. Sasuke's body suddenly convulsed as darkness spread across his face. His Sharingan and Rinnegan glowed with unnatural light as he drew his sword. "Run," he managed to say before his expression went completely blank. The same transformation overtook the other shinobi. Their eyes emptied of recognition, their postures becoming puppet-like as the void entity took control. "Did you think I would come unprepared this time, forgotten one?" The entity's voice spoke through Sasuke's mouth. "Your precious people make such perfect vessels. Let them go." Naruto demanded, golden energy flaring around him instinctively. "Make him eat," the entity challenged through all 5 shinobi simultaneously. Sasuke attacked first, moving with blinding speed as he slashed at Naruto with his sword. Naruto barely dodged, unwilling to counter against his best friend. "We need to contain them without causing harm," he shouted to the others. "They're being controlled." "Easier said than done." Carol called back as she blocked a devastating punch from Sakura that cracked the ground beneath them. Wanda engaged Hinata, her scarlet energy meeting the gentle fist technique in bursts of conflicting power. "Their abilities are extraordinary," she observed as she narrowly avoided having her chakra points blocked. Strange found himself facing Kakashi, whose copied jutsu made him a versatile and unpredictable opponent. "Fascinating technique," the Sorcerer Supreme commented as he countered a fireball with a mystical shield. "Though the execution leaves something to be desired when controlled by an interdimensional parasite." Naruto created shadow clones to help his allies while he focused on Sasuke. Fighting his best friend was nothing new, but this time was different. This wasn't Sasuke making his own choices, this was Sasuke's body being used as a weapon. "I know you're in there, Sasuke," Naruto called as he dodged another lightning-fast strike. "Fight it." Sasuke's face remained impassive as he formed the hand signs for Chidori. Lightning chakra crackled around his hand, corrupted by the void's darkness into something that hurt Naruto's eyes to look at directly. "Fine," Naruto muttered. "If you won't snap out of it, I'll beat you out of it." He created a Rasengan, infusing it with the golden energy that seemed to respond more readily each time he called upon it. As Sasuke charged with his Chidori, Naruto met him head-on. The two jutsu collided with cataclysmic force. Energy exploded outward, golden light fighting against corrupted lightning. In the moment of contact, Naruto found himself pulled into a mental space, similar to his mindscape where Kurama resided, but different. Sasuke stood before him, constrained by writhing tendrils of darkness that dug into his skin like barbed wire. "About time you showed up, loser," he said, his voice strained but his own. "What is this place?" Naruto asked, looking around at the featureless void. "The space between our minds," Sasuke replied. "Your new power created a bridge when our jutsu connected." Naruto reached for the tendrils restraining his friend, only to have them lash out at him. "How do I free you?" "You don't," Sasuke said grimly. "Not directly. The entity has connected to our chakra networks, using us as conduits to manifest in your new world. You need to cut the connection at its source." "The breaches," Naruto realized. Sasuke nodded. "Close them, and the entity loses its hold on us." "But Naruto, there's something else you should know." The mental space began to flicker as their jutsu battle in the physical world reached its conclusion. "What?" "Tell me." Naruto urged. "Your family," Sasuke managed before the connection started to break. "They're looking for you too. But the entity found them first. It's using them as bait." The mental space shattered as Naruto and Sasuke were thrown apart by the force of their clashing jutsu. Naruto skidded backward, his feet digging furrows in the ground as he processed what Sasuke had told him. Hinata. Boruto. Himawari. The entity had them. Rage unlike anything he'd felt in years surged through Naruto. The golden energy responded, exploding outward with such force that everyone on the battlefield, friend and foe alike, paused to stare. "Naruto?" Wanda called, concern evident in her voice. His eyes had changed, no longer blue, but glowing with golden light that spilled from his sockets like solar flares. Patterns of energy etched themselves across his skin, forming intricate designs that pulsed with power. "I've had enough," Naruto said, his voice layered with something ancient and terrible. "You want to use my precious people against me? Big mistake." He raised his hands, and reality itself seemed to bend around them. The breaches connecting to the shinobi world began to shrink, their edges knitting together as Naruto exerted his will upon them. The controlled shinobi convulsed, dark tendrils withdrawing from their bodies as the entity lost its anchor. One by one, they collapsed to the ground, freed but unconscious. "Impressive," the entity's voice echoed from the closing breaches. "You begin to remember. But remember this, I still have what you cherish most. Come find them. If you dare." The final breach sealed shut with an audible snap, leaving the courtyard in sudden silence. The golden energy around Naruto gradually receded, his eyes returning to normal as he sank to his knees in exhaustion. "What just happened?" Carol asked, helping Sakura into a recovery position. "I think," Strange said carefully, "we just witnessed the awakening of a god." Hours later, Naruto sat beside Sasuke's bed in the Wakandan medical facility. His friends had been stabilized, their chakra networks slowly recovering from the void's corruption. "How are they?" Wanda asked, entering with 2 steaming cups of tea. "Stable," Naruto replied, accepting one of the cups gratefully. "Sakura's already awake, using her medical ninjutsu to help the others. She's something else." Wanda smiled slightly as she took a seat beside him. "Your world produces remarkable people." "So does yours," Naruto countered, nodding toward where Carol was deep in conversation with Shuri across the room. "I still don't understand how I did what I did out there. Closing the breaches, forcing the entity out of my friends." "Your power is growing," Wanda observed. "Each time you use it, you access more of your divine nature." Naruto stared into his tea, the steam rising between them. "What if I don't want it? This divine nature? What if I just want to be Naruto Uzumaki, Hokage of the Hidden Leaf?" "I asked myself something similar once," Wanda said quietly. "When I realized what the Scarlet Witch truly was, not just a code name, but a nexus being whose power could reshape reality itself. It terrified me." "How did you deal with it?" Her eyes met his. "I accepted that power doesn't define who I am, it's merely a tool for expressing who I already am. You are Naruto Uzumaki, with or without this golden energy. The question is, who will Naruto choose to be with such power at his disposal?" Before he could respond, Strange appeared in the doorway. "Sasuke Uchiha is awake. And he has information." They hurried to Sasuke's bedside. The Uchiha looked pale but alert, his mismatched eyes focusing sharply on Naruto. "You look terrible," Naruto greeted with a forced grin. "Speak for yourself," Sasuke replied with a ghost of a smile. "You look like you've been fighting gods." "Close enough," Naruto admitted. "What happened? How did you find me?" Sasuke's expression grew serious. "After you disappeared, the dimensional stability of our world began to deteriorate. Reality fractures appeared throughout the 5 nations. I used my Rinnegan to track your chakra signature across dimensions, but the pathways were unstable." "And the others?" Naruto asked. "They insisted on coming. We formed a team to extract you. Hinata was especially determined." Sasuke's eyes flickered to Wanda, then back to Naruto. "But something found us in the space between worlds. Something vast and hungry. The void entity, Strange supplied." Sasuke nodded. "It spoke to us. Said you belonged to it. That you were its other half or some nonsense." Naruto's blood ran cold. "What about my family? You said the entity had them." "Hinata, Boruto, and Himawari were with us," Sasuke confirmed grimly. "But we got separated during transit. The entity specifically targeted them, dragged them deeper into the dimensional void. I tried to follow, but..." "It's not your fault," Naruto said automatically, though panic clawed at his chest. Do you know where it took them? Not precisely. But I caught glimpses while it controlled me. A place where realities collide. Where forgotten timelines go to die. It called it, the Terminus. Strange and Wanda exchanged concerned looks. You know it? Naruto asked them. It's theoretical, Strange explained. A point where collapsed timelines and dead realities collect, a cosmic graveyard. No living being has ever gone there and returned. Well, I'll be the first, Naruto stated flatly. Carol approached, having overheard. You're talking about a suicide mission. Even if this place exists, how would we find it? How would we survive it? I'll find a way, Naruto insisted. My family is there. And the entity wants you to come, Wanda pointed out. It's a trap. Obviously, Naruto agreed. But trap or not, I'm going. An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Finally, Sasuke spoke again, his voice quiet but firm. There's something else you should know. While the entity controlled me, I could access some of its knowledge. It fears you, Naruto. Not just what you might become, but what you already are. What do you mean? Naruto asked. Sasuke's eyes bored into his. The Uzumaki clan's special chakra, your ridiculous stamina, your healing abilities, they weren't just random traits. They were, preparations. As if something within your bloodline was gradually building toward a specific outcome. Me, Naruto realized. The reincarnation of the one above all. So it seems, Sasuke confirmed. The entity believes that if you fully awaken to your divine nature, it will cease to exist. That's why it's trying to use your family to lure you into its domain, where it's strongest and you're weakest. Carol crossed her arms. So our options are, let this thing keep Naruto's family hostage, or walk straight into an obvious trap in a place no one has ever returned from. I prefer option 3, Naruto said, rising to his feet. We go to the terminus, rescue my family, and kick this entity's ass once and for all. Just like that? Carol asked skeptically. Just like that, Naruto confirmed. I've faced impossible odds before. What's one more cosmic horror? Wanda stood beside him. I'm with you. My power might help navigate the chaotic energies of such a place. As am I, Strange added. The mystic arts exist precisely to defend reality from such threats. Fine, Carol sighed. But we do this smart. We need preparation, strategy, and a lot more information before we go dimension hopping into the void. Naruto nodded, grateful for their support despite the tension in his chest. Every moment they delayed was another moment his family remained in the entity's clutches. But rushing in half-prepared would only get them all killed. There's one more place we need to visit, Strange suggested. One being who might have direct knowledge of both the one above all and the terminus. Who? Naruto asked. A celestial named Eternity, Strange replied. The embodiment of all time and reality within our universe. If anyone can guide us to the terminus and help you unlock more of your divine nature, it's him. And how exactly do we find an embodiment of time and reality? Carol asked. Strange smiled slightly. We ask nicely. The journey to meet eternity required preparations unlike anything Naruto had experienced before. While his friends recovered in Wakanda, Strange led Naruto, Wanda, and Carol through intensive training to prepare their minds and bodies for cosmic travel. The realm we seek exists beyond physical space, Strange explained as they sat in meditation postures within a mystically enhanced chamber. We must project our consciousness there while anchoring our physical forms here. Like Ino's mind transfer jutsu, Naruto suggested, earning curious looks. It's a technique from my world. She can send her consciousness into another person while her body remains behind. Similar concept, vastly different scale, Strange confirmed. We're not transferring to another person, but to a plane of Existence that operates on principles beyond human comprehension. Naruto closed his eyes, focusing on the golden energy within him. Over the past day, he'd found it easier to access, as if it were gradually integrating with his chakra rather than existing as a separate force. This feels familiar, Kurama commented inside his mind. Like something I've forgotten. You too? Naruto asked silently. I thought this was just affecting me. We've been connected since your birth, Kit. Whatever you are, I've been shaped by it too. A warm hand touched Naruto's, interrupting his internal conversation. He opened his eyes to find Wanda beside him, her own eyes glowing faintly red. I can help stabilize the connection, she offered. My chaos magic can act as a bridge between realities. Carol positioned herself on Naruto's other side. And I'll provide the cosmic energy to boost the signal, so to speak. Thank you, Naruto said simply, touched by their willingness to help someone they'd known for barely days. Strange completed their circle, mystical mandalas spinning around his hands. Focus on the essence of reality itself. Not what exists, but the fact that existence exists at all. It was a mind-bending concept, but Naruto tried his best. He reached beyond his senses, beyond chakra perception, into something more fundamental. The golden energy responded eagerly, spreading from him to connect with Wanda's scarlet power, Carol's cosmic energy, and strange mystic forces. Reality blurred around them. Naruto felt his consciousness expanding, stretching beyond the confines of his physical form. Infinite possibilities unfolded before him like pages in an endless book. Hold the connection, strange voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Don't try to direct it, allow it to guide us. The expansion continued until Naruto could perceive entire galaxies as tiny motes of light. Solar systems appeared and disappeared in what seemed like heartbeats. The scale of perception became so vast that physical form ceased to have meaning. Then suddenly, they weren't alone. A presence surrounded them, infinite in size yet somehow distinctly humanoid in shape. Stars formed its eyes, galaxies swirled within its chest, and cosmic nebulae composed its limbs. Visitors, the being acknowledged, its voice causing ripples throughout reality itself. Rare. Interesting. Especially you, Fragment. Though no names were spoken, Naruto somehow knew the being addressed him specifically. Are you Eternity? Strange asked, his consciousness a tiny speck before the cosmic entity. I am Eternity within your universe. I have other names in other realities. But you already know this, Fragment. I don't, Naruto replied honestly. I don't know what I am or what I'm supposed to remember. The cosmic being seemed to consider this. Curious. The forgetting was more complete than usual. Perhaps intentional. We seek knowledge about the one above all, Wanda interjected, her consciousness flickering with scarlet energy. And the void between, Carol added. It's threatening multiple realities. Eternity's star eyes pulsed with light. The void grows restless as the cycle nears completion. This is expected, though concerning in its intensity. What cycle? Naruto asked. Creation. Experience. Remembrance. Return. The one fragments to know itself through infinite experiences. When the time comes, fragments remember and return, bringing all they have learned. Strange mystical energy flared with understanding. The one above all reincarnates to experience its own creation from within. And Naruto is one such incarnation. The most significant in this cosmic cycle, Eternity confirmed. The fragment that remembers last, but most completely. But why me? Naruto demanded. I'm just a shinobi from Konoha. Are you? Eternity countered. Or did you choose that existence precisely because it would teach what you needed to learn? Images flashed through Naruto's expanded consciousness, his lonely childhood, his struggle for acknowledgement, his unbreakable determination, his capacity for forgiveness, his ability to change the hearts of enemies, his unwavering protection of those precious to him. Bonds, Wanda whispered in realization. Your entire life has been about forming connections. About bringing people together. The Creator must understand creation from within, Eternity agreed. Must know pain to value joy. Must know isolation to value connection. Must know hatred to value love. That's why the void fears you, Carol added. Because if you remember fully, I re-establish order, Naruto finished, the truth resonating within him despite his reluctance to accept it. I fill the spaces between creations. I remove the void's feeding grounds. We need to reach the terminus, Strange stated. The void entity has taken hostages there. Eternity's form shifted, galaxies rearranging themselves. The terminus exists beyond my direct influence. It is where discarded realities collect, where potential futures go when they are no longer potential. Can you show us the way? Naruto asked. I can provide guidance, but the fragment must lead. Only the one who created all realities can safely navigate their remnants. But I don't know how, Naruto protested. Udo, Eternity insisted. The knowledge is within you, buried beneath layers of mortal identity. The cosmic entity extended a hand composed of swirling galaxies. I can help you remember enough to find your way. But be warned, each step toward remembrance is a step away from the life you have known. Full remembrance means full return. Naruto hesitated, the implications clear. If he fully awakened to his divine nature, he would cease to be Naruto Uzumaki. He would return to being the one above all, leaving behind everything and everyone he loved. Is there no other way? He asked quietly. There is always choice, Eternity replied. That is the purpose of creation itself. You may choose to remember only enough to save your loved ones. But the void grows stronger. Eventually, choice becomes necessity. Wanda's consciousness brushed against Naruto's, offering silent support. Carol's cosmic energy steadied him as he considered his options. I'll remember enough to save my family, Naruto decided finally. After that, we'll see. As you wish. Eternity's galactic hand touched Naruto's consciousness. Knowledge flooded into him, not just information, but awareness beyond anything a human mind was designed to process. The true nature of reality. The structure of the multiverse. The paths between dimensions. The location of the terminus. Naruto screamed as his consciousness threatened to shatter under the influx. Wanda and Carol held him together, Wanda containing his expanding awareness with her reality-altering abilities, Carol providing the strength needed to endure the transformation. When the transfer completed, Eternity withdrew. It is done. You have what you need, fragment. Use it wisely. Thank you, Naruto managed, his consciousness stabilizing into something not quite human anymore, but not yet divine. A middle state, powerful beyond mortal comprehension but still anchored to his identity. The void will sense this change, Eternity warned as their connection began to fade. It will prepare for your arrival. Be cautious, fragment. Even with your awakening power, the terminus remains dangerous. One more question, Strange called as Eternity's form began to dissolve back into the cosmos. What created the one above all in the first place? Eternity's star eyes twinkled with what might have been amusement. What makes you think there was a first place? Cycles have no beginning, sorcerer. Only points of observation. With that cryptic statement, Eternity vanished, and their consciousnesses hurtled back toward their physical bodies. Naruto gasped as he returned to himself, nearly collapsing forward. Strange, Wanda, and Carol likewise reeled from the experience, their faces pale and drawn. Did it work? Carol asked, rubbing her temples. Did we get what we needed? Naruto nodded slowly, his mind still integrating the cosmic knowledge Eternity had shared. I know where the terminus is. And how to get there. Are you alright? Wanda asked, studying him with concern. Your energy signature has changed again. I'm still me, Naruto assured her, though even he heard the uncertainty in his voice. The knowledge eternity had given him felt both foreign and familiar, like remembering a dream that had slipped away upon waking. Mostly. Strange rose to his feet, his movements unusually stiff. We should prepare immediately. The longer we wait, the stronger the void entity becomes. I need to speak with Sasuke first, Naruto said. He should know what we're planning. While Strange and Carol went to gather supplies and alert the others, Naruto made his way back to the medical facility with Wanda beside him. They walked in silence, both processing the encounter with eternity in their own ways. Does it scare you? Wanda asked finally as they approached the medical wing. What you might become? Naruto considered the question. Yes, he admitted. The idea of transcending, I guess. Becoming something beyond Naruto Uzumaki. Beyond human. What if I lose what makes me who I am? I don't think that's possible, Wanda said softly. What makes you who you are isn't your limitations or even your memories. It's your heart. Your choices. Your connections. That sounds suspiciously like something I would say, Naruto replied with a small smile. Perhaps that's why I believe it, Wanda returned his smile. You have a way of making people believe in the impossible. They found Sasuke sitting up in bed, engaged in deep conversation with Sakura. Both looked up as Naruto entered. You look different, Sasuke observed immediately, his Rinnegan perceiving more than just physical appearance. Your chakra, it's changing. Yeah, Naruto agreed, taking a seat beside the bed. We spoke with a cosmic entity named Eternity. He helped me access some of the knowledge I apparently had all along. And? Sakura prompted. We're going to the terminus, Naruto stated. To rescue my family and stop the void entity. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. You mean we're going? No, Naruto said firmly. You're still recovering. All of you are. This isn't your fight. Like hell it isn't, Sasuke countered. I promised Hinata I'd help bring you back. Both of you. This isn't up for debate, Naruto insisted. The terminus is, it's not like anywhere in our world or this one. It exists outside normal reality. Even with my new awareness, it'll be dangerous. I can't risk anyone else I care about. That's not your decision to make, Sakura interjected. We came across dimensions to find you, Naruto. We're not turning back now. Naruto opened his mouth to argue further, but Sasuke cut him off. Save your breath. You know how stubborn we are. Look who's talking, Naruto muttered, but a fond smile tugged at his lips. Fine. But you follow my lead in there. All of you. This place, it doesn't follow normal rules. Time, space, even identity works differently. When do we leave? Sasuke asked. As soon as everyone's ready, Naruto replied. The entity has Hinata, Boruto, and Himawari. Every moment we delay is another moment they're in danger. I'll inform the others, Sakura said, rising from her chair. Her medical training had accelerated her recovery compared to the rest of the team. After they left to prepare, Sasuke fixed Naruto with a penetrating stare. There's something you're not telling us. Naruto hesitated, then sighed. According to eternity, each step I take toward accessing my divine nature takes me further from being me. If I fully awaken, if I completely remember being the one above all, I'll cease to be Naruto Uzumaki. Understanding dawned in Sasuke's eyes. You're planning to sacrifice yourself. If that's what it takes to save everyone, yes, Naruto admitted. Idiot, Sasuke said, but there was no heat in it. After everything we've been through, you still think you have to bear every burden alone. This isn't like fighting Madara or Kagaya, Naruto argued. This is different. Bigger. And yet here we are, still by your side, Sasuke pointed out. Still ready to face whatever comes next together. The words echoed what Wanda had said about connections being what defined him. Perhaps that was the answer, not fighting against his awakening nature, but bringing that nature into harmony with the bonds he'd formed throughout his life. Always so wise, Sasuke, Naruto teased, trying to lighten the moment. One of us has to be, Sasuke replied with a smirk. 2 hours later, they gathered in Wakanda's central plaza. The rescue team consisted of Naruto, Wanda, Carol, and Strange from the Marvel Universe, plus Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi from the Shinobi world. Each had been briefed on what little they knew about the Terminus, each understood the risks. The journey will be different from normal interdimensional travel, Strange explained as they formed a circle. We won't be moving through space or time, but outside of it entirely. Focus on Naruto, Wanda added. His energy will guide us and protect us during transit. Naruto stood in the center, golden energy already beginning to emanate from his body. The knowledge eternity had shared allowed him to perceive the pathways between realities more clearly now, including the dark, twisted route that led to the Terminus. Everyone ready? He asked, looking around at his allies, his friends from 2 worlds, united by a common purpose. As will ever be, Carol replied, her hands already glowing with cosmic power. Then let's go save my family, Naruto said, raising his hands. The golden energy expanded outward, enveloping the entire group. Reality itself seemed to bend around them, the fabric of space-time stretching and folding like origami in Naruto's hands. For a brief, disorienting moment, they existed everywhere and nowhere, suspended between realities. Then the pathway stabilized, forming a golden bridge through absolute darkness. Stay close, Naruto called, his voice echoing strangely in the void. The path only exists as long as I maintain it. They moved forward, each step taking them further from known reality. Strange's cloak fluttered despite the absence of wind. Wanda's scarlet energy formed a protective aura around her. Carol's cosmic glow illuminated their immediate surroundings. The shinobi walked with cautious readiness, chakra primed for whatever they might encounter. As they progressed, shapes began to form in the darkness around them, ghostly fragments of collapsed realities. Here, a city street where people moved in endless loops, unaware their timeline had ended. There, a battlefield, where armies of light and shadow clashed for eternity, neither side ever gaining ground. These are echo realities, Strange explained quietly. Possibilities that were discarded when the main timeline took a different path. There are so many of them, Sakura whispered, her eyes wide as she watched a spectral version of what looked like Konoha, but with subtle differences from the village they knew. The multiverse contains infinite possibilities, Wanda said. For every choice made, countless alternatives are created and discarded. Naruto kept his focus on maintaining their path, but he couldn't help noticing certain echoes that hit too close to home. A reality where he had failed to save Sasuke. Another where the fourth great ninja war had ended differently. One where he had never been born at all. Don't look too closely, Kakashi warned, noticing his former student's distraction. These might be echoes, but they can still affect us psychologically. He's right, Strange agreed. The Terminus plays on regret, on what might have been. It's designed to trap visitors in cycles of contemplation until they forget why they came. They continued forward, the path narrowing as the density of echo realities increased. Soon they were walking single file, the golden bridge barely wide enough for one person. We're getting close, Naruto announced, feeling a pull ahead, like gravity, but affecting his consciousness rather than his body. The center of the Terminus is just beyond. He broke off as a familiar figure appeared on the path before them. Hinata Hyuga stood with her back to them, her long dark hair unmistakable even in the strange light of this place. Hinata. Naruto called instinctively, starting forward. Wait, Sasuke grabbed his arm. That's not her. Look. As the figure turned, Naruto saw that Sasuke was right. This was Hinata, but not his Hinata. Her eyes held no recognition, and her form wavered slightly, translucent at the edges. An echo, Strange confirmed. The entity is using the echoes to distract us. The echo Hinata smiled sadly. You chose a different path, Naruto-kun. A different life. Don't engage, Wanda warned. It's trying to trap you in conversation. Naruto nodded, forcing himself to move past the echo despite the ache in his chest. More familiar faces appeared, Boruto, Himawari, friends from Konoha, all slightly wrong in subtle ways. All speaking of choices made and unmade, of paths not taken. The center is near, Carol reported from behind him. I can feel the gravitational distortion increasing. The path widened suddenly, opening onto a vast circular platform suspended in the void. And in the center of that platform stood three figures, the real Hinata, Boruto, and Himawari, encased in crystalline structures that pulsed with dark energy. Mom! Boruto shouted, his voice muffled but audible. Dad's here. Hinata's head snapped up, her Byakugan active despite her imprisonment. Naruto. Relief and warning mingled in her voice. It's a trap. I know, Naruto replied, stepping onto the platform. But I'm here anyway. The darkness around them shifted, coalescing into the familiar form of the void entity, a humanoid shape composed of writhing shadows and countless watching eyes. But it was larger now, more defined, as if gaining substance in this place between realities. The fragment arrives, it announced, its voice reverberating through their minds. With allies from two worlds. How predictable. Let my family go, Naruto demanded, golden energy flaring around him. Your quarrel is with me. Incorrect, the entity replied. My quarrel is with what you represent, the end of my existence. The filling of the void. It gestured, and the crystals containing Hinata and the children rose higher, suspended over a seemingly bottomless abyss at the edge of the platform. A simple exchange, the entity proposed. Surrender your divinity, allow me to consume the spark of the one within you, and they go free. Don't listen to it, Dad. Boruto shouted. It's lying. Obviously, Naruto. Agreed, his eyes never leaving the entity. But I'm still going to save you. He glanced at his allies, a silent communication passing between them. They had discussed strategy during their preparations, knowing this moment would come. Now! Naruto shouted. The team exploded into action. Strange open portals beneath the crystal prisons, attempting to teleport Naruto's family to safety. Carol blasted upward, targeting the points where the crystals connected to the entity's darkness. Wanda's scarlet energy lashed out, disrupting the structure of the terminus itself. The shinobi moved with coordinated precision. Sasuke activated his Susanoo, the spectral warrior materializing despite the strange physics of the terminus. Sakura channeled her strength-enhancing chakra, targeting the platform beneath the entity. Kakashi unveiled his Sharingan, analyzing the entity's patterns of movement. Naruto himself charged directly at the void entity, golden energy forming into massive chakra arms that reached for its core. I'm taking my family back, he declared, and then I'm sending you back to whatever forgotten corner of existence you crawled out of. The entity roared, darkness exploding outward in all directions. The team's coordinated attack faltered as reality itself seemed to buckle under the entity's rage. Fool, it bellowed. This is my domain. Here, I am reality. The platform shattered, plunging them all into freefall. The echo reality surrounding them began to collapse inward, drawn by the entity's power. Memories not their own flooded their minds, billions of discarded possibilities, failed futures, aborted timelines. Naruto fought to maintain his focus, the golden energy struggling against the overwhelming darkness. He could sense his friends nearby, similarly battling against the mental onslaught. You cannot win here, fragment, the entity taunted. Surrender to inevitability. There's one thing you should know about me, Naruto replied, forcing the words out despite the pressure crushing down on him. I never give up. That's my ninja way. He reached deeper within himself, past the knowledge eternity had shared, into something more fundamental. Not memories of being the one above all, but the essence of what that meant: creation, connection, completion. The golden energy surged in response, taking on new properties. Where before it had been raw power, now it became structured, purposeful. Reality itself began to respond to Naruto's will, the echo timelines no longer overwhelming him but offering themselves as material. "What's happening?" Wanda called, her scarlet energy intertwining with Naruto's golden light. "He's not just remembering," Strange realized, his mystic shields expanding to protect their group. "He's creating." The void entity shrieked as Naruto's power expanded. "No. You cannot create here. The terminus is ending, not beginning." "Says who?" Naruto challenged, golden energy streaming from his hands to form a new platform beneath them. "I say this place has potential too." The entity lashed out with tendrils of pure darkness, targeting Naruto directly. Carol intercepted several, her photonic blasts severing the shadowy limbs. Sasuke's Susanoo deflected others, while Kakashi and Sakura worked to reach the still imprisoned Hinata and children. "Wanda!" Naruto called. "I need your reality-altering abilities. Help me stabilize this space." Understanding immediately, Wanda directed her scarlet energy to complement Naruto's work, weaving structure into the chaotic environment. Where his power created, hers defined and solidified. The terminus began to transform around them. No longer a graveyard of discarded realities, but a nexus point, a place where possibilities converged rather than expired. "What are you doing?" the entity demanded, its form beginning to destabilize as the nature of the terminus changed. "Changing the rules," Naruto replied, his eyes now blazing with golden light. "This place doesn't have to be an ending. It can be a beginning." With renewed purpose, the rescue team pressed their advantage. Strange created portals that Carol and Sasuke used to strike the entity from multiple angles simultaneously. Kakashi's lightning blade, enhanced by the ambient cosmic energy, sliced through the crystal prisons, freeing Himawari and Boruto. "Dad!" Himawari cried as she fell into Naruto's waiting arms. "You came." "Always," Naruto promised, holding his daughter tight while maintaining the transformation of their surroundings. Boruto landed beside them, immediately taking a defensive stance. "We need to get Mom." Hinata's prison remained, suspended directly above the entity's core. As the terminus transformed around them, the entity withdrew its outer manifestations, focusing all its power on maintaining its hold on this final hostage. "One last exchange," it offered desperately. "Her life for your divinity." "How about neither?" Naruto countered. "Sasuke." Understanding instantly, Sasuke activated his Rinnegan's unique abilities, creating a gravitational pull that drew Hinata's prison toward him while simultaneously repelling the entity's darkness. The crystal cracked under the opposing forces. Wanda directed her energy at the weakening structure, scarlet light seeping into the fractures. "Now, Carol." Naruto called. Captain Marvel unleashed her full binary form, cosmic energy engulfing her completely as she rocketed toward the crystal. Her impact shattered it entirely, freeing Hinata while dispersing the entity's remaining hold. "Naruto!" Hinata called as she fell. Naruto caught her with extended chakra arms, pulling her safely to the newly formed platform. For a brief moment, they held each other, reunited despite impossible odds. "I knew you'd come," Hinata whispered. "Always," Naruto repeated, his heart full despite the battle raging around them. The void entity, now cornered and weakened, gathered what remained of its darkness into a concentrated mass. "This changes nothing, fragment. I have existed since the first creation. I will exist long after your current incarnation ends." "Maybe," Naruto acknowledged, stepping forward with his family safely behind him. "But you won't exist as you have been. No more feeding on forgotten realities. No more threatening the multiverse." He raised his hands, golden energy streaming from his fingertips. The knowledge eternity had shared, combined with his own inherent understanding of the universe, guided his actions. You exist because I exist, Naruto continued. The spaces between creations need to be filled with something. But that something doesn't have to be hunger and emptiness. The entity recoiled as Naruto's energy touched its darkness. What are you doing? Giving you purpose, Naruto replied. Connection. The thing you've been trying to destroy is the very thing you need. Golden light penetrated the entity's core, transforming it from within. The darkness didn't disappear but changed, becoming translucent, shot through with strands of light that connected rather than consumed. "No," the entity cried, though its voice already sounded different, less threatening, more harmonious. "I am the void. The emptiness. The hunger." "Not anymore," Naruto said firmly. "Now you're the connection. The space that joins realities rather than devouring them." The transformation spread outward from the entity's core, reshaping not just its form but its fundamental nature. The terminus itself continued to change around them, becoming a nexus of possibilities rather than their graveyard. As the light faded, what remained of the entity bore little resemblance to the cosmic horror they had faced. Instead, a being of balanced darkness and light hovered before them, its countless eyes now windows rather than weapons. "What have you done to me?" it asked, its voice harmonious rather than threatening. "I helped you find balance," Naruto explained, the golden energy receding as the immediate danger passed. "You were never meant to be only hunger. You were meant to be connection, the space that allows separate creations to interact." The transformed entity considered this. "I remember, before the hunger. When I was new. When we were partners. And we can be again," Naruto offered. "Not enemies, but complementary forces." The entity's form stabilized further, taking on a more defined shape, still vast and cosmic, but no longer chaotic. "The remembering has begun. The cycle nears completion." "What does that mean?" Hinata asked, stepping forward to stand beside Naruto. The entity's gaze shifted to her. "It means the fragment nears full awakening. The return to what was before." "That's not happening today," Naruto stated firmly. "I still have a life to live. Family to love. A village to protect." "But eventually," the entity noted. "All cycles complete." "Eventually," Naruto conceded. "But on my terms. In my time." The entity seemed to accept this, its form withdrawing slightly. "Then I shall wait. And in waiting, I shall serve my new purpose. The pathways between worlds will be maintained, not consumed." "That's all I ask," Naruto said. The transformed entity began to fade, becoming one with the new structure of the terminus. "Until the cycle completes, fragment. Until we meet again." As the entity disappeared completely, the golden energy around Naruto gradually subsided. The strain of maintaining such power for so long caught up with him, and he stumbled slightly. "Naruto." Hinata caught him, concern evident in her pale eyes. "I'm okay," he assured her, though exhaustion pulled at every cell in his body. "Just tired." The others gathered around them, equally drained but triumphant. The terminus had stabilized into something new, a crossroads between realities rather than their ending point. "We need to get back," Strange advised, examining their surroundings. "This place is stable for now, but it's not meant for prolonged visits. Can you create a path home, like you did to bring us here?" Carol asked Naruto. He shook his head. "Not right now. I've used too much energy." "I can help," Wanda offered, stepping forward. Her scarlet energy still flickered around her fingers. "My power connects to reality itself. Together with Dr. Strange's portals, we should be able to create a way back." "Back where, exactly?" Sasuke asked the practical question. "To your world or ours?" A silence fell over the group as they considered the implications. Naruto looked from his family to his new allies from the Marvel Universe. "Both," he decided finally. We need to restore balance to both realities. The breaches should be sealed, the connections stabilized. That's going to take more power than we currently have, Strange pointed out. Even combined. Not necessarily, Naruto replied, an idea. Forming. The transformed entity said it would maintain the pathways between worlds. Maybe we can use that. He reached out with his remaining energy, searching for the presence that had once been the void. Hey! Former cosmic horror. A little help here? For a moment, nothing happened. Then the space around them shimmered, and pathways appeared, golden bridges extending in two directions. As requested, fragment, the entity's voice echoed softly around them. Pathways to both worlds, stabilized and safe. Thank you, Naruto said sincerely. The entity offered no further response, but the pathways remained solid and inviting. I guess this is goodbye, Carol said, looking between the two groups. At least for now. It doesn't have to be permanent, Wanda suggested. With these stable pathways, perhaps visitation remains possible. Diplomatic relations between worlds, Kakashi mused. That would be interesting. Naruto smiled at the thought, but exhaustion was quickly overtaking him. We can figure out the details later. Right now, I think we all need to go home and rest. Hinata slipped her arm around his waist, supporting him. You pushed yourself too far again, she chided gently. Some things never change, Sasuke commented dryly. The group separated at the junction of the two pathways. Handshakes, hugs, and promises to meet again were exchanged. When Naruto reached Wanda, she surprised him by pulling him into a tight embrace. Thank you, she whispered. For showing me that power doesn't have to be a curse. Thank you, he returned. For helping me remember without losing myself. Carol clasped his hand firmly. Try not to break reality again anytime soon. No promises, Naruto replied with a grin. Strange bowed slightly. It has been an honor, Naruto Uzumaki. Few can say they've fought alongside the one above all. Just Naruto is fine, he insisted. The rest, well, that's a problem for another day. With final waves, the groups started down their respective paths. Naruto walked with his arm around Hinata, Boruto and Himawari just ahead, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi following behind. So, Hinata said quietly as they walked. The one above all. Naruto chuckled weakly. Yeah, apparently I'm the reincarnation of the creator of the multiverse. Just another day in the life of Naruto Uzumaki. And how do you feel about that? She asked, her voice carefully neutral. Honestly? Scared, he admitted. Confused. Overwhelmed. But also. I don't know, like maybe it explains some things. Like your ability to change people's hearts. To forge connections where none existed before. Maybe. He looked down at her. Does it change anything? For us? Her smile was all the answer he needed. You're still the same Naruto I fell in love with. The same father to our children. The same Hokage to our village. Whatever else you might be doesn't change that. Relief washed through him. I was worried you'd see me differently. I've always seen you, Naruto, she reminded him. All of you. Even the parts you couldn't see yourself. As they continued down the golden path toward home, Naruto felt a strange sense of peace despite the revelations of the past days. Whatever cosmic destiny awaited him could wait. For now, he was Naruto Uzumaki, walking home with his family and friends. The golden energy within him hummed contentedly, no longer fighting for expression but settling into harmony with his chakra. One day, perhaps, he would need to confront the full implications of his divine nature. But today was not that day. Today was for healing. For homecoming. For being simply, perfectly human. Chapter 3, Divinity Unleashed. 2 months had passed since the confrontation in the terminus, and life in Konoha had almost returned to normal. Almost. Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument, legs dangling over the edge as dawn broke over the village. Golden light reflected off windows and rooftops, painting everything in warm hues that reminded him too much of the power now permanently residing within him. "Thought I'd find you up here," came a voice from behind. Naruto didn't turn. "Hey, Sasuke." His friend sat beside him, both of them staring out at the village they'd spent their lives protecting. "Trouble sleeping again?" "Yeah," Naruto admitted. "The dreams are getting more frequent. More vivid." "Dreams? Or memories?" Naruto sighed. "Both, I think. I see worlds being born. Galaxies forming. Reality itself taking shape under my hands, except they're not my hands, not really." Sasuke remained silent, letting him continue. "The weirdest part is how familiar it all feels," Naruto said. "Like something I've always known but forgot. Like coming home," Sasuke finished. "Yeah." Naruto glanced sideways at his friend. "Freaks me out." "I can imagine," Sasuke replied dryly. Then, more seriously, "Have you told Hinata?" "Some of it. Not all." Naruto looked down at his hands, which appeared perfectly normal despite the cosmic power they'd wielded. "I don't want to worry her more than she already is. She's stronger than you give her credit for." "I know that. It's not about strength." Naruto struggled to put his feelings into words. "It's about, what if one day I wake up and I'm not me anymore? What if I'm just him? The one above all? What happens to Naruto Uzumaki then?" Before Sasuke could answer, a flicker of golden energy rippled across Naruto's skin. It happened more often lately, random surges of power that came and went like cosmic hiccups. "Getting worse?" Sasuke asked, his Rinnegan activating automatically to assess the energy. "More frequent. Not sure about worse." Naruto waited for the surge to pass. "The golden gates we established between worlds are stable, though. Shikamaru's been handling the diplomatic communications with their Avengers organization." "And your friends from the other side? The witch and the captain?" Naruto smiled slightly. "They're good. Carol's been dealing with some space threat at the edge of their galaxy. Wanda visits more often. She's been helping me understand how to control this power without losing myself." Sasuke's expression revealed nothing, but something in his tone made Naruto look at him more closely. "What?" "Nothing. Just noticed you light up when you talk about her." Naruto rolled his eyes. "Not you too. Hinata already teases me enough about my multiversal friendship with Wanda." "Hinata teases you?" "Yeah. She actually likes Wanda. They get along really well, which is nice and kinda weird at the same time." He shook his head. "Anyway, I've been thinking about visiting the Marvel Universe again. Something feels off. The connection between worlds is stable, but there's this tension I can't explain. Like reality is holding its breath." Sasuke nodded. "I've felt it too. The Rinnegan shows disturbances at the edges of perception. Nothing concrete, just shadows." A chill ran through Naruto that had nothing to do with the morning air. The transformed entity promised to maintain the pathways between worlds. What if it's not keeping its word? Or what if it can't? Sasuke countered. "You changed its nature, not its power. Maybe something else is interfering." Naruto stood, decision made. "I need to check it out. If something's threatening the stability between worlds again, we'll check it out," Sasuke corrected, rising beside him. "I'm not letting you face another cosmic crisis alone. I had a whole team last time," Naruto pointed out. "And you'll have one again. Sakura and I have been training to handle interdimensional travel better." Even Kakashi's been studying those mystic scrolls Strange sent over. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. All right. But we do this carefully. Reconnaissance only. Of course, Sasuke agreed, a hint of a smile playing at his lips. When have our reconnaissance missions ever turned into anything else? When you said, reconnaissance, I didn't think it would involve getting shot at by robots, Sakura complained as she punched through another mechanical attacker, its metal frame crumpling like paper. To be fair, they shot first, Naruto replied, golden energy extending from his hands to form shields around civilians fleeing the chaos. They'd arrived in the Marvel Universe just hours ago, meeting with Wanda at the newly established interdimensional gateway in Wakanda. Their plan had been simple: consult with Earth's heroes about the strange tensions in reality, then investigate the pathways between worlds directly. Instead, they'd stepped into the middle of an invasion. They're called Sentinels, Wanda explained, her scarlet energy tearing apart 3 robots simultaneously. Normally they hunt mutants, but these have been reprogrammed. They're targeting anyone with extradimensional energy signatures. Like us, Sasuke noted, his Susanu's spectral arm swatting a sentinel from the sky. Like you, Carol confirmed, landing beside them in a burst of photonic energy. Her uniform was torn in places, her face smudged with dirt but still radiating confidence. Good to see you again, Naruto. Though your timing could be better. What's happening? Naruto asked as they formed a defensive circle, back to back against the encroaching robots. Started 3 days ago, Carol explained between energy blasts. Sentinels suddenly went rogue worldwide. Same time we detected reality fractures similar to the ones from your last visit. The void? Sakura asked. Wanda shook her head. Different energy signature. But definitely connected to the space between worlds. A massive sentinel, easily 3 times larger than the others, smashed through a nearby building, its cold eyes focusing on Naruto specifically. Target identified, its mechanical voice boomed. Multiversal anomaly. Threat level maximum. Neutralize. I'm flattered, Naruto muttered. Kurama, ready to show these tin cans what real power looks like. Always, Kit, the Ninetales replied eagerly. Naruto channeled a combination of his chakra and the golden energy, forming a modified version of his classic attack. Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Hundreds of Narutos appeared throughout the battlefield, each glowing with the same golden-orange energy. The clones moved with coordinated precision, targeting the joints and sensor arrays of the sentinels. Still a cool trick, Carol commented appreciatively before rocketing upward to engage the larger sentinel. Sasuke moved with blinding speed, his sword charged with lightning chakra as he sliced through robot after robot. These machines, they're collecting data on us. Adapting to our attacks. Stark tech, Wanda confirmed grimly. Repurposed and corrupted, but still learning with every engagement. Then we need to end this quickly, Naruto decided. He reached deeper into the golden energy, tapping into abilities he'd been practicing since returning from the terminus. Reality rippled around the largest sentinel as Naruto extended his perception beyond normal spacetime. He could see the robot's structure not just physically, but conceptually, the ideas and principles that governed its existence. With a gesture that looked simple but manipulated fundamental forces, he unraveled those principles. The sentinel didn't explode or break apart, it simply ceased to function, its technological complexity reduced to base components. That's new, Carol noted, hovering nearby. Been practicing, Naruto replied with a slight grin, though the effort left him momentarily dizzy. Before they could celebrate, a new sound cut through the chaos, a high-pitched whine that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The remaining sentinels suddenly froze, then began to transform, their metal bodies flowing like liquid into new configurations. That's definitely not standard sentinel behavior, Wanda said, scarlet energy gathering around her hands defensively. The robots merged together, forming a single massive entity that towered over buildings. Its surface rippled with symbols that shifted constantly, symbols Naruto recognized with a chill. Those are the same markings from the terminus, he said. The language of forgotten realities. The merged entity spoke, its voice no longer mechanical but layered with countless others. The fragment returns. As predicted. As required. Who are you? Naruto demanded. What do you want? I am Terminus. The place that was. The end that begins. The entity's form continued to shift, buildings and streets being absorbed into its mass as it grew. The void failed to contain you. I will not. Understanding dawned on Naruto. You're not the void entity. You're the terminus itself. The graveyard of realities gained consciousness. How is that possible? Sakura asked, her medical mind struggling with the concept. When Naruto transformed the void entity, he changed the terminus too, Wanda realized aloud. He made it a nexus point rather than an ending. And in doing so, awakened me, the entity confirmed. All that was forgotten remembered itself. All that was discarded found purpose. That should be a good thing, Naruto argued. Why attack this world? Why come after me? The entity's surface rippled, displaying images of countless realities collapsing and forming anew. Balance requires completion. You changed the cycle, fragment. The void transformed, but you remain divided. Incomplete. It wants you to fully awaken, Sasuke translated. To complete your transformation into the one above all. And if I refuse? Naruto challenged. The entity's form expanded further, absorbing more of the surrounding city. Then worlds will continue to destabilize. The barriers between realities will collapse. All will return to chaos until you accept your nature. So you're throwing a cosmic tantrum because I won't grow up. Naruto's anger built, golden energy crackling around him. Threatening innocent people to force my hand. Necessity, not threat, the entity responded. The multiverse cannot sustain your division indefinitely. Carol landed beside Naruto, her expression grim. Strange warned this might happen. The one above all is a fundamental force of reality. Your continued existence as Naruto while carrying that power creates a paradox. I didn't ask for this, Naruto said quietly. Few who bear great power do, Wanda replied, stepping to his other side. But we still choose what to do with it. Naruto took a deep breath, centering himself. I choose to protect these worlds, not abandon them. And I'm definitely not letting some cosmic construct destroy them to make a point. He stepped forward, golden energy building around him in waves. Hey, Terminus. You want the fragment? Come and get me. But leave these people alone. The entity's attention focused fully on Naruto, its massive form shifting toward him. Agreed. Before anyone could react, reality tore open beneath Naruto's feet. Unlike the controlled gateways between worlds, this was a raw, jagged breach that pulled him in with irresistible force. Naruto! Wanda cried, reaching for him with tendrils of scarlet energy. Stay back, he shouted as he fell. Protect the city. I'll handle this. The last thing he saw before the breach closed was his friends' worried faces, Sasuke already activating his Rinnegan, trying to track the dimensional coordinates, Carol charging her powers to maximum, Wanda's scarlet energy attempting to hold the breach open, Sakura rushing forward, determination on her face. Then darkness enveloped him, and Naruto found himself falling through a space beyond normal dimensions. Kit, Kurama's voice reached him in the void. Something's different this time. This space, it's trying to separate us. Naruto felt it too, a pressure attempting to pull the Ninetales chakra away from his own essence. Hold on, Kurama. We stay together. Always, the fox growled, their chakras intertwining more tightly. The darkness gradually gave way to swirling colors and fragmented realities, similar to the terminus they'd visited before, but fundamentally altered. No longer a graveyard, but a living tapestry of possibilities. Naruto's descent slowed, and he found himself standing on a surface that appeared solid despite seeming made of pure energy. The entity towered before him, its form now resembling a humanoid shape constructed from countless fragments of broken realities. "Welcome home, fragment," it greeted him. "This isn't my home," Naruto replied firmly. "And I'm not just a fragment." "Semantics," the entity dismissed. "You are the final piece. The last division that must return." "Why?" Naruto demanded. "Why is it so important that I return? The multiverse has existed fine with me being Naruto Uzumaki." The entity's form shifted, displaying images of deteriorating dimensional boundaries. "Fine is relative. Temporary. The longer you remain divided, the more unstable reality becomes." It gestured, and the space around them transformed to show countless worlds experiencing disruptions, natural disasters, technological failures, wars, suffering. Some Naruto recognized from his own experiences or visits, others were completely alien. "Your awakening power calls to itself across all realities," the entity explained. "Drawing the fragments together. Resistance causes friction. Friction causes damage. You're saying I'm hurting the multiverse just by existing as I am," Naruto said, the weight of the accusation settling heavily on his shoulders. "Not intentionally. But inevitably." Naruto closed his eyes, processing this. If the entity spoke truth, his very existence as Naruto Uzumaki threatened everything and everyone he'd ever cared about. "There has to be another way," he insisted, opening his eyes with renewed determination. "I refuse to believe the only options are to cease being me or watch worlds suffer. Belief does not alter necessity." "Maybe not," Naruto conceded. "But it can inspire new solutions. That's something I've learned in every fight I've ever faced, there's always another path if you're willing to find it." The entity seemed to consider this. "What alternative do you propose, fragment?" "First, stop calling me fragment. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Second." He paused, thinking rapidly. "What if I could find a way to stabilize the multiverse without fully awakening? To use the power of the one above all while remaining who I am?" "Impossible," the entity stated. "The power seeks completion." "Nothing's impossible," Naruto countered. "Just ask anyone who knows me." Before the entity could respond, the space around them shuddered. Cracks appeared in reality itself, golden and scarlet light seeping through. "Impossible," the entity repeated, though this time with what sounded like surprise. The cracks widened, and familiar figures burst through, Wanda leading the way, her reality-altering powers having torn open a path to this dimension, Carol blazing with cosmic energy, Sasuke with his Rinnegan activated fully, Sakura channeling enhanced strength through her fists, and surprisingly, Dr. Strange, mystical shields already forming around the group. "Took you long enough," Naruto called, relief flooding through him. "Dimensional barriers aren't exactly easy to break through," Wanda replied, landing beside him. "Even for us." Strange stepped forward, his cloak of levitation billowing dramatically. "The entity is right about one thing, Naruto. The multiverse is destabilizing. But its solution is simplistic." "Of course it is," Carol added. "Cosmic entities always think in absolutes. All or nothing." The terminus entity's form flickered with what might have been irritation. "The paradox must resolve. The cycle must complete." "Says who?" Sakura challenged. "Who made these rules?" "The nature of reality itself." "Reality can be rewritten," Wanda countered, scarlet energy dancing between her fingers. "I should know." Sasuke moved to Naruto's side, his voice low. "We don't have much time. The dimensional breach we created is temporary. This place is already trying to expel us." Naruto nodded, feeling the pressure building around them. "Then we need to work fast. I have an idea, but it's going to take all of us." He turned to face the entity directly. "You say the problem is that I'm divided, part Naruto Uzumaki, part one above all. That the power seeks to complete itself. What if instead of fighting that, I embrace it, but on my terms? Explain, the entity demanded. The one above all fragmented itself to experience reality from within, right? To learn and grow through countless lives across the multiverse. Naruto stepped forward. I think that process isn't supposed to end. It's not about returning to what was before, but evolving into something new. Strange's eyes widened with understanding. A synthesis. Not the death of Naruto to become the one above all, but the transformation of the one above all through its experience as Naruto. Exactly. Naruto grinned. I'm not giving up who I am. I'm adding it to what I was. The entity seemed to consider this unprecedented. Unpredictable. That's kind of his thing, Sasuke commented dryly. The question is how, Carol said. How do you synthesize a human identity with a cosmic force of creation? Wanda stepped closer to Naruto, her eyes meeting his. Through connection. The very thing that defines you, Naruto. The bonds you've formed throughout your life, they're your anchor, your strength. They don't limit your power, they give it meaning. Naruto's golden energy responded to her words, pulsing brighter. That's it. That's what I've been missing. He turned to the entity. You want completion? Fine. But it happens my way. Not through abandoning my humanity, but by bringing it with me into divinity. The entity's form flickered, images of countless realities flashing across its surface. The risk is immense. Failure means the collapse of all realities. Then I won't fail, Naruto stated simply. Before anyone could respond, the space around them shuddered violently. Reality itself seemed to buckle, fragments breaking away from the terminus entity's form. What's happening? Sakura called, struggling to maintain her footing on the destabilizing surface. Strange's hands moved in complex patterns as he analyzed the disturbance. Something's coming through. Something massive. The darkness behind the entity tore open, revealing a familiar writhing void. You spoke too soon, fragment, the entity said, its tone almost resigned. The void returns. From the tear emerged a form Naruto recognized, the void entity they had faced before. But it was different now, corrupted somehow. The balanced darkness and light that Naruto had instilled in it had been twisted, the light consumed until only traces remained, barely visible beneath overwhelming shadow. Did you think it would be so easy? The void entity spoke, its harmonious voice now discordant and harsh. That I would simply accept my new purpose. That I would serve as connection rather than consumer. What happened to you? Naruto asked, genuinely dismayed. The transformation should have been permanent. It was, the entity confirmed. Until I discovered something fascinating. The forgotten spaces between worlds still exist. The collapsed timelines still fade. And they contain such delicious power. The void entity expanded, darkness flowing around and through the terminus construct. I found I could consume the very fabric of this place, the graveyard of realities. And in doing so, I grew stronger than ever before. The terminus entity's form destabilized further as the void consumed it. The balance. Broken. It managed before being completely absorbed. That's not good, Carol understated, her fists glowing brighter as she prepared for battle. The void entity, now incorporating the terminus's power, grew to an impossible size. Reality itself bent around it, unable to contain its expanded presence. Now I hunger for more than forgotten possibilities, it announced. I hunger for active realities. For living worlds. For the power of the one above all itself. Tendrils of pure darkness shot toward Naruto, faster than thought. Before they could reach him, multiple defenses snapped into place simultaneously, Sasuke's Susanoo, Strange's mystic shields, Wanda's scarlet barriers, Carol's photonic field, and Sakura's chakra-enhanced protection. The combined defense held, but just barely. The darkness pressed against it from all sides, seeking weaknesses. We can't hold this forever, Sasuke warned, his Susanoo already showing cracks. Naruto's mind raced. The void had grown too powerful to defeat conventionally. Even with his divine power, attacking it directly would only feed its hunger. I need to complete the synthesis, he realized aloud. Now. Before it breaks through. How? Wanda asked, strain evident in her voice as she maintained her barriers. I need to connect with everyone and everything that makes me who I am, Naruto replied. Not just my friends here, but everyone back home. Every bond, every memory, every promise. Impossible, Strange grunted. The dimensional barriers can be bridged, Wanda interrupted. Through me. My chaos magic can create connections across realities. And my Rinnegan can stabilize those connections, Sasuke added. Create pathways between worlds. We'll buy you time, Carol promised, her photonic energy intensifying. But make it quick. This thing isn't playing around. Naruto nodded, then sat cross-legged at the center of their protective formation. Golden energy swirled around him as he closed his eyes, focusing inward. Kurama, he called mentally. I need your help one more time. Always, Kit, the fox replied. What's the plan? We connect with everyone. All at once. Inside his mindscape, Kurama grinned, showing all his teeth. Now that sounds like fun. Outside, the others moved with practiced coordination. Wanda knelt behind Naruto, her hands on his shoulders as scarlet energy flowed from her into him. Sasuke positioned himself directly in front, his Rinnegan focused on creating interdimensional pathways. Sakura and Carol stood guard, reinforcing the barriers against the void's continued assault. Strange circled them all, his hands weaving complex patterns that stabilized the surrounding space. Ready? Wanda asked softly. Ready, Naruto confirmed. He reached deep within himself, finding the golden core of divine power that had been growing stronger since his first encounter with the void. But instead of drawing it outward as he had before, he directed it inward, connecting it to his own identity, his own memories, his own bonds. Wanda gasped as her consciousness briefly merged with his, catching glimpses of his entire life, his lonely childhood, his struggles at the academy, his first real connections with Team 7, his battles, his growth, his triumphs and failures, his family, his village, his world. Now, Sasuke, she called. Sasuke activated his Rinnegan's full power, opening pathways not just between dimensions but between hearts and minds. Across realities, people connected to Naruto suddenly felt his presence, Hinata, Boruto, and Himawari in Konoha, the remaining Konoha 11, villagers whose lives he'd touched, even former enemies he'd converted to allies. The connections formed a vast network, a web of relationships that defined Naruto Uzumaki more completely than any power or title ever could. It's working, Strange observed, his mystic senses perceiving the flow of energy. The synthesis is beginning. The void entity sensed it too, redoubling its assault on their barriers. No. The power belongs to the void. To emptiness. To hunger. You're wrong, Naruto replied, his voice echoing with newfound power. It belongs to connection. To bonds that transcend time and space. To the bridges between hearts. He rose to his feet, golden energy now flowing around him in intricate patterns that mimicked the Uzumaki spiral. But the energy wasn't just golden anymore, it contained traces of every person connected to him. The red of Kurama's chakra. The blue of his original chakra. The lavender of Hinata's gentle touch. The vibrant signatures of his children. The varied energies of his friends and comrades. I am Naruto Uzumaki, he declared. Son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Seventh Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. Husband to Hinata. Father to Boruto and Himawari. Friend to many. Enemy to few. With each declaration, the golden energy intensified, reality itself responding to his words. And yes, he continued, I am a fragment of the one above all. A piece of divine consciousness experiencing life as a human. But I'm not returning to what I was before. I'm becoming something new. The barriers around them began to fail as the void pressed harder. Carol and Sakura strained to maintain protection, but their strength was flagging. Whatever you're doing, Carol called, do it faster. Naruto nodded, reaching the culmination of his transformation. The one above all fragmented to experience. To learn. To grow. And what I learned as Naruto Uzumaki is that true power comes from connection, not isolation. From love, not emptiness. He extended his hands toward the encroaching darkness. You call yourself the void between. But there is no void, not really. Between every world, every heart, every moment, there is connection. There is meaning. There is light. The golden energy exploded outward from Naruto in a blinding wave. Where it touched the darkness, it didn't fight or destroy, it transformed. It filled the empty spaces with purpose, the hunger with fulfillment, the isolation with connection. What are you doing? The void shrieked as its form began to change. Completing the cycle, Naruto answered simply. Not by returning to what was, but by becoming what should be. The transformation spread rapidly, golden light penetrating every corner of darkness until the entire construct that had been the void entity glowed with new purpose. Its form stabilized into something neither light nor darkness but a harmonious blend of both, the spaces between worlds filled with meaning rather than emptiness. As the transformation completed, Naruto felt a shift within himself. The divine power no longer felt separate from his identity. It had integrated with every aspect of who he was, his strengths and weaknesses, his joys and sorrows, his bonds and beliefs. It's done, he said softly as the golden energy receded into a gentle aura around him. The synthesis is complete. The others stared at him in awe. He looked the same physically, but there was an undeniable difference in his presence, a depth and vastness behind his eyes that hadn't been there before. Naruto? Wanda asked cautiously. Are you, still you? He smiled, and it was still his smile, warm, slightly mischievous, undeniably human. Yeah. Just, more me than before. The transformed entity that had been the void approached, its form now stable and purposeful. The cycle is indeed complete, it acknowledged. Though not as any had foreseen. That's my specialty, Naruto replied. Unpredictability. What happens now, Naruto Uzumaki? Or should I address you as the one above all? Just Naruto is fine, he insisted. And what happens now is healing. The multiverse has been damaged by these conflicts. It needs time to recover, to stabilize under the new balance. He turned to his friends. We need to get back. All of us, to our respective worlds. The dimensional barriers need to be reinforced before they can safely allow travel again. You mean we won't be able to visit each other's worlds? Sakura asked, concern evident in her voice. Not for a while, Naruto confirmed. Maybe months, maybe years. The connections will remain, but physical crossing needs to wait until everything's stable. The news hit harder than expected. In the short time they'd known each other, bonds had formed between the heroes of both universes, friendships that transcended their different origins. We'll find a way, Wanda promised, her hand briefly touching Naruto's. Connections like ours don't break easily. No, they don't, he agreed softly. With newfound awareness of multiversal pathways, Naruto created stable portals for both groups, one leading back to the Marvel Universe, another to the Shinobi world. As his friends prepared to depart, each said their goodbyes. Try not to break reality again while we're gone, Carol teased, clasping his hand firmly. No promises, Naruto replied with a grin. Strange bowed slightly. It has been an honor witnessing the evolution of a cosmic force. Though I suspect we haven't seen the last of Naruto Uzumaki's impact on our universe. Definitely not, Naruto assured him. When Wanda approached, something shifted in the air between them, an unspoken connection that had grown throughout their shared adventures. "I'll miss you," she said simply. "Me too," he replied. "But this isn't goodbye." "Not really." "No," she agreed with a small smile. "Just see you later." Impulsively, she hugged him. The contact sent sparks of gold and scarlet energy swirling around them, their powers recognizing each other on a fundamental level. "Take care of yourself, Naruto," she whispered before stepping back and joining Carol and Strange at their portal. Sasuke approached as the Marvel heroes departed. "Ready to go home?" "More than ready," Naruto confirmed, suddenly exhausted despite his transformed nature. "I've had enough cosmic adventures for a while. I just want to see my family, eat some ramen, and maybe take a really long nap." "Same old Naruto," Sakura commented with a fond smile. As they stepped through the portal back to their own world, Naruto cast one last look at the transformed cosmic entity that had once been their enemy. "What will you do now?" he asked it. "What I was always meant to do," the entity replied. "Maintain the connections between worlds. Ensure balance. Remember what was forgotten." "Good," Naruto nodded. "I'll be checking in occasionally. Just to make sure." The entity's form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "I would expect nothing less, Naruto Uzumaki. Until we meet again." The return to Konoha was met with relief and celebration. News of Naruto's transformation spread quickly, though few truly understood what it meant. To most, he was simply their Hokage returned from another dangerous mission. But those closest to him noticed the subtle changes, the newfound serenity beneath his usual energy, the deeper understanding in his eyes, the golden glow that sometimes appeared when he was deep in thought or emotion. A week after their return, Naruto stood in his office, looking out over the village he'd sworn to protect. The evening sun painted everything in warm light, reminding him of the cosmic energy now permanently part of his being. A soft knock at the door pulled him from his thoughts. "Come in." Hinata entered, closing the door quietly behind her. "Shikamaru said you've been up here all day. No breaks, not even for lunch." "Sorry," Naruto smiled apologetically. "Lost track of time. There's so much to catch up on after being away." She approached, standing beside him at the window. "That's not it, though. Is it?" He glanced at her, reminded once again how well she knew him. "No, it's not. I've been thinking about everything that happened. About what I've become. And," she prompted gently. "And I'm not sure what it means for us. For our future." He turned to face her fully. "I'm still me, but I'm also more. I contain multiverses, Hinata. I can feel them all the time now, countless worlds, countless lives, countless possibilities. Does that change how you feel about this world? About our family?" "No," he insisted immediately. "If anything, it makes everything more precious. More miraculous. I see how rare and beautiful our connection is among all possible realities." Hinata smiled, relief evident in her expression. "Then nothing important has changed." "But I have," he pointed out. "I'm not just human anymore. I'm something else too." "Naruto," she said his name with such tenderness that it made his chest ache. "You've never been just anything. You've always been extraordinary. This is just one more way in which that's true." He reached for her hand, golden energy briefly shimmering where their skin touched. "How do you always know exactly what to say?" "Years of practice," she replied with a soft laugh. "And a lifetime of loving you." Naruto pulled her into an embrace, feeling the simple human joy of holding someone dear. Despite the cosmic awareness now part of his consciousness, nothing felt more real or important than this connection. "There is one thing," he admitted as they stood together. I can feel the barriers between worlds healing, but it will take time before travel is safe again. Months, maybe longer. You miss them, Hinata observed. Your friends from the other universe. Yeah, he acknowledged. Especially Wanda. She understood what I was going through in a way no one else could. Her power connects to reality itself, like mine does now. You'll see her again, Hinata assured him. Until then, you have us. And something tells me you might have ways of keeping in touch that don't involve physical travel. Naruto looked at her in surprise. What do you mean? I've seen how your energy works now. How it connects to everything. Maybe you can use that connection to reach across worlds, even if you can't physically cross the barriers. The suggestion sparked something in Naruto's newly expanded awareness. Of course, the synthesis hadn't just given him the power of the one above all, but transformed that power through his own unique abilities and experiences. Connection had always been his strength. You're a genius, he told Hinata, kissing her forehead. She laughed. I have my moments. Now, are you coming home for dinner? Boruto and Himawari have been working on a surprise for you all day. Wouldn't miss it for all the universes combined, he promised. Later that night, after a joyous family dinner and putting the children to bed, Naruto sat cross-legged on the roof of their home. The full moon illuminated the sleeping village, peaceful under his watch. He closed his eyes, focusing on the golden energy within him. As Hinata had suggested, he reached out not with physical intent, but with connection, seeking the unique Scarlet signature he'd come to know across dimensions. At first, there was nothing but the vastness of the multiverse, countless realities flowing past his awareness like rivers. Then, faintly, he felt it, a familiar response to his reaching. Scarlet energy meeting golden across impossible distance. Naruto. Wanda's voice, faint but unmistakable, formed in his mind. It worked, he thought back, excitement pulsing through the connection. I wasn't sure it would. I've been trying to reach you too, her mental voice replied. The barriers are strong, but apparently not strong enough to block whatever this is. Turns out the synthesis had some unexpected benefits, Naruto explained. I can maintain connections even when physical travel isn't possible. He felt her happiness through their link, warm and genuine. How are you adjusting to your new state of being? Still figuring it out, he admitted. Some moments I feel completely normal, like nothing's changed. Others, I can perceive entire galaxies being born and dying across multiple dimensions. It's a lot. I can imagine, she responded sympathetically. When my powers fully awakened, I had similar experiences. Reality itself becoming malleable to my perception. How did you handle it? He asked. By anchoring myself to what matters most. To people, to moments, to purpose. Her presence in his mind felt like a comforting touch. You're already doing the same. It's who you are. They talked for what felt like hours, sharing experiences and insights across the dimensional divide. Naruto told her about his family's reaction to his return, about Konoha's recovery from the interdimensional disturbances. Wanda shared news of the Marvel Universe, the Sentinels had been neutralized, Strange was researching safer methods of dimensional travel, Carol had returned to space but promised to visit when the barriers allowed it. I should go, Wanda said eventually. Maintaining this connection across dimensions must be draining, even for you. A little, Naruto admitted. But worth it. We'll try again soon. Definitely. Take care, Naruto Uzumaki. Or should I say, the one above all? He laughed mentally. Just Naruto is still fine. Always will be. As their connection faded, Naruto opened his eyes to find the night had deepened, stars shining brilliantly above. With his enhanced perception, he could now see beyond the visible light, into the cosmic tapestry that connected all things. He rose and made his way back into the house, to the bedroom where Hinata slept peacefully. As he slipped into bed beside her, she stirred slightly. Did it work? She murmured sleepily. Yeah, he replied, drawing her close. It worked perfectly. She smiled without opening her eyes, nestling against him. Good. You need your friends. All of them, across all worlds. I have everything I need right here, he assured her. The rest is just bonus. As sleep claimed him, Naruto felt the golden energy settling into a peaceful rhythm within him. The synthesis was complete, but its implications would unfold for years, perhaps centuries to come. The one above all had become Naruto Uzumaki, and Naruto Uzumaki had become something more than human, yet still fundamentally, irrevocably himself. In dreams, he perceived the multiverse healing, barriers strengthening, connections deepening. The transformed cosmic entity faithfully maintaining the balances he had established. Worlds continuing their unique journeys, separate but connected. And at the center of it all, not a void but a connection. Not emptiness but fulfillment. Not isolation but community. Just as it should be. 6 months later, Naruto stood before a newly constructed gateway in a secure facility beneath Konoha. Designed by combined Shinobi and Marvel Universe technology, with input from his own cosmic awareness, it represented the first stable interdimensional portal since the barriers had been reinforced. Sasuke, Shikamaru, Sakura, and several ANBU guards stood nearby, monitoring instruments and maintaining security protocols. This was a historic moment, the official establishment of diplomatic relations between their world and the Marvel Universe. All readings are stable, Shikamaru reported, checking the sensors. We're good to go whenever you are, Lord Seventh. Naruto nodded, approaching the gateway. Golden energy flowed from his hands, activating the complex array of seals and technology that would open a controlled pathway between worlds. Remember, he instructed the assembled officials, this is a diplomatic mission. We're establishing formal contact, not starting an interdimensional tourism program. You've only reminded us about 50 times, Sasuke commented dryly. Naruto grinned. Just making sure. Ready? With a gesture, he completed the activation sequence. The gateway hummed to life, energy swirling within its frame until it stabilized into a clear portal showing a similar facility on the other side, the Avengers compound, specifically designed for interdimensional diplomacy. Familiar faces waited on the other side, Carol in her official uniform, Strange in his mystical regalia, and Wanda, a warm smile already forming as she spotted Naruto. Greetings from Earth, 616, Carol called formally, though her eyes twinkled with barely suppressed excitement. We welcome representatives from, what did you decide to call your reality again? Earth Shinobi, Naruto replied with equal mock formality. Though Boruto suggested Ninja Planet, which was tempting. The official greetings completed, Carol stepped aside to allow the real reunion to begin. Wanda approached the portal from her side, pausing just before crossing. Is it safe? She asked, though her expression showed she already trusted Naruto's work. Perfectly, he assured her. Tested it myself yesterday. And the day before. And possibly a few times before that. Impatient much, she teased, then stepped through. The moment she crossed the threshold, a ripple of energy passed through the room, scarlet and gold briefly mingling before settling. Wanda stood on Shinobi World soil for the first time in half a year, looking around with undisguised curiosity. It feels different, she observed. More vibrant somehow. That's chakra, Sasuke explained. Our world's fundamental energy is more pervasive than the energies of your world. As Carol and Strange followed through the portal, the formal diplomatic proceedings began, introductions, exchanges of gifts, discussions of security protocols and visitation rights. Through it all, Naruto maintained his Hokage persona, leading the negotiations with surprising skill for someone once known primarily for his impulsiveness. Hours later, when the formalities had concluded and most participants had departed, Naruto found himself walking through Konoha with Wanda, showing her the village that had shaped him. It's beautiful, she said as they stood atop the Hokage monument, looking out over the leaf-shaped village. I can see why you fought so hard to protect your identity, your connection to this place. Worth every effort, Naruto agreed. Though I've come to appreciate your world too. There's room in the multiverse for infinite variety. Speaking of which, Wanda turned to face him. How's the whole, being a cosmic entity while still being human, thing working out? Naruto laughed. Better than expected, actually. The synthesis has stabilized. I can access the cosmic awareness when needed, but live as Naruto the rest of the time. The best of both worlds. And the transformed entity? Still behaving? So far, he nodded. It seems content with its new purpose. The spaces between worlds are healthier than they've ever been, connected but distinct, flowing together in harmony. Wanda studied him thoughtfully. You've changed. Not just the power, but, you seem more at peace. I am, he acknowledged. For the first time in my life, everything makes sense. My strange childhood, my unique abilities, my capacity for connecting with others, it was all leading to this synthesis. Not an ending, but a continuation. A new chapter. And does this new chapter include maintaining connections between our worlds? She asked, her tone deliberately casual though her eyes held deeper meaning. Naruto smiled, understanding the question behind the question. Absolutely. Some connections are too important to let dimensional barriers interfere with. As the sun set over Konoha, painting the sky in hues of gold and scarlet, Naruto Uzumaki, shinobi, Hokage, father, friend, and cosmic entity, felt the perfect harmony of his dual nature. The one above all had not reclaimed him, rather, he had transformed what it meant to be the one above all. Through connection rather than isolation. Through love rather than detachment. Through the bonds that had defined Naruto Uzumaki throughout his remarkable life. The multiverse continued its eternal dance, worlds spinning in their separate orbits yet connected by threads of golden light that emanated from a central consciousness, one that understood the value of each individual life because it had lived one itself. One that cherished connections because it had known loneliness. One that embraced humanity even as it transcended it. And in Konoha, in New York, and in countless other realities, life went on, more balanced, more connected, more vibrant than before. Thanks to a boy who had once been shunned by his village, who grew to become its greatest protector, and who ultimately found a way to protect not just his world, but all worlds. Not by sacrificing who he was, but by being more completely himself than ever before. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.